Chapter 27-22. Duan Lingtian thought to himself when he saw the waiter's actions. He was certain there were many people in the inn who had similar requests. After all, those who stayed in the fleeting time inn to avoid being hunted by their enemies would not dare to leave the inn. After all, who knew if their enemies were waiting for them outside the inn's entrance? It was only natural that the guests who stayed in the inn would have certain needs such as medicinal pills, materials for refining weapons, refining pills, or memory celestial talismans. All right. After receiving the red cloth, Duan Lingtian and Huan were led to the guest rooms by the waiter. The fleeting time inn occupied a vast area, and even though it had 999 rooms, each room was spacious. There were 3 rooms in the courtyard, 2 of which were facing the inner courtyard, and the last one was facing the entrance of the courtyard. Greetings, guest. As soon as he entered the courtyard, a pleasant voice entered Duan Lingtian's ears. He focused his gaze and saw a young girl dressed as a servant girl standing at the other side of the courtyard's entrance. Currently, the young girl was greeting him. The young girl had a delicate appearance. Although she was not as pretty as Huan and his 2 wives, she was still above average. Guest, there's a maid in each of our guest rooms. The maid's responsibility is to serve the guests meals and lodging. Apart from that, as long as the maid is willing, the guest is allowed to engage in intimate activities with her, the waiter said. What the attendant said was all routine, but it caused Duan Lingtian to feel embarrassed when he heard it. The young girl dressed as a maid stole a glance at Duan Lingtian. When she saw Duan Lingtian's handsome face, her cheeks flushed red. "My lord, these maids are all virgins," the waiter said as he looked at Duan Lingtian meaningfully. "You said the maid has to be willing? What if she's unwilling?" Duan Lingtian asked curiously. "If the maid is unwilling, you can't force her. Otherwise, it'll be considered a provocation to the inn," the waiter said. Duan Lingtian nodded. "Then why didn't you warn me? Aren't you afraid I'll be tricked?" Duan Lingtian said as he glanced at the waiter. "Guest, it's not that I didn't warn you, but I don't think it's necessary for you to do so. It's a blessing for these maids to be able to sleep with you. Moreover, I don't think any of them would refuse you." The waiter smiled wryly as he flattered Duan Lingtian. "If you don't believe me, you can ask her," the waiter said as he looked at the maid. Duan Lingtian turned to look at the waiter as well. "If you want me to accompany you, I'm willing." When Duan Lingtian looked at her, the servant girl felt her heart thumping wildly. When she spoke, the word willing was as soft as a mosquito's voice. Cough, cough. Upon hearing the maid's words, it was Duan Lingtian's turn to feel awkward. He turned to look at the waiter and said, "Little Six, if there's nothing else, you can leave now?" "Yes, guest." The attendant thought that Duan Lingtian was anxious, so he gave Duan Lingtian a smile that all men understood before turning around and leaving, and he closed the courtyard door on his way out. "What's your name?" Duan Lingtian asked as he looked at the maid. "Guest, I'm called Cheng-er," the maid replied. Cheng-er blushed as she replied. "Cheng-er, you don't have to blush. I won't let you do that with me." Duan Lingtian took a deep breath before he said bluntly, "Just do what you normally do. It's fine as long as you don't disturb us when we're cultivating." Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, the maid realized she had overthought things. She was embarrassed. "Brother Lingtian, Little Six said you can do things between a man and a woman. What do you mean by things between a man and a woman? Also, he said this young lady is a virgin." "What's a virgin?" An extremely pleasant voice rang out, attracting the attention of the servant girl again. Although the maid was also a woman, she was still attracted by the voice of Huan who was standing next to Duan Lingtian. Huan voice was pleasant to the ears like music. It was so pleasant that one could not help but fall in love with it. So, he already has someone by his side. The maidservant glanced at Huan and realized that the beautiful guest in front of her already had a companion. Although the woman was wearing a veil and hat, she could still vaguely make out the contours of the woman's face. She was certain that the woman was prettier than her. Inwardly, she could not help but sigh. "Huan, you're still young, so you don't know what you're talking about. You'll know when you grow up." Duan Lingtian said to Huan "Brother Lingtian, I'm not young anymore. I'm 13 years old this year," Huan said unhappily. Huan was clearly displeased. 13 years old? Upon hearing Huan Er's words, Duan Lingtian and the maid standing at the side were stunned. 13 years old? The maid studied the white-clad woman in front of her. Huan Er's figure was so perfect that she felt inferior. She did not think a 13-year-old woman would have such a figure. 13 years old? Huan Er, you're only 13 years old? Duan Lingtian asked hesitantly when he regained his senses. He looked at Huan Er with a confused expression on his face.
Yes.
Huan Er nodded. Your Huan, your clan, are all of you so precocious? Duan Lingtian asked with a wry smile. At this moment, he recalled Huan Er was not a pure human. She had the blood of the Phantom Fox clan in her veins. Phantom foxes were celestial beasts in the Devata realms that had awakened their intelligence. Huan Er, let's return to our room first. Duan Lingtian called out to Huan Er when he sensed someone was still with them. Then, he led Huan Er into a room and closed the door behind them. When she saw this, the servant girl, Chung Er, finally gave up. While Duan Lingtian and Huan Er were staying in the Fleeting Time Inn, Zhou Shudong, the fourth miss of the Zhou clan, had returned to the Zhou clan. News of what had happened to Zhou Shudong had also spread throughout the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. It would not take long before everyone in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom learned about what had happened. She, Zhou Shudong, the eldest miss of the Zhou clan, had taken a liking to a man and wanted him as her toy. However, she was rejected. Moreover, the man was still alive and kicking. On the other hand, the people around her were killed in public. Who is he? He said he didn't kill me out of respect for the Zhou clan. This means he's still wary of the Zhou clan. No, this matter can't be let go just like that. I, Zhou Shudong, have never been so humiliated. Not long after Zhou Shudong returned to the Zhou clan, she left the Zhou clan and went to the imperial palace of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom before news of what had happened to her reached the Zhou clan. The size of the Zhou family's mansion was already very exaggerated. However, the imperial palace of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom was even more vast than the Zhou clan's estate. It occupied almost half of the eastern side of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Moreover, it was surrounded by a river that surrounded the imperial palace. Greetings, Miss Zhou. When Zhou Shudong arrived at the entrance of the imperial palace, the guards at the entrance recognized her and bowed to her. Due to her impatience, Zhou Shudong strode into the imperial palace. However, she was stopped by the guards. Miss Zhou, although we know you, according to the imperial palace's rules, you'll still have to show us your pass. The leader of the guards at the entrance of the imperial palace bowed respectfully at Zhou Shudong. Take a look. Zhou Shudong impatiently took out a token wrapped in silver light from her storage ring and waved it in front of the guard leader. After the guard leader confirmed the authenticity of the token, he stepped aside and welcomed Zhou Shudong into the palace. It's my first time seeing the fourth miss of the Zhou clan in such a hurry. Something must have happened to her, right? One of the guards speculated. Isn't it obvious? If it's not something urgent, why would she be in such a hurry to the point of forgetting to show us her pass? Another guard chimed in. After entering the imperial palace, the first thing Zhou Shudong did was to look for her cousin, the fourth prince of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, who was the son of her father's sister and the emperor of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. He was one of the three most outstanding sons of the emperor of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. If there were no unforeseen circumstances, the next emperor of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom would be selected from the three most outstanding princes, including the fourth prince. Dong why are you in such a hurry to look for me? Did something happen? In a pavilion in the front courtyard of the fourth prince's temporary residence, a young man dressed in a green robe with gold embroidery sat in front of a stone table. He looked at Zhou Shudong, who had just sat down, and asked with a smile on his face. The young man was tall and sturdy. He had a handsome face and an extraordinary bearing. He was none other than the fourth prince of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, Long Xiangyun. Long was the surname of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Cousin, help me investigate someone. I won't be satisfied if I don't find out who he is, Zhou Shudong said with an unsightly expression on her face. Although the purple-clad young man might have an extraordinary background, perhaps the Zhou clan could not afford to offend him. However, she was unwilling to let this matter go before she could investigate the purple-clad young man's background. Perhaps the purple-clad young man had no background at all? Who do you want to investigate? Long Xiang-yun asked in surprise. This was his first time seeing such an unsightly expression on his cousin's face. For a moment, his curiosity was piqued. Chapter 27-23. In one of the guest rooms in the Fleeting Time Inn, Huan-er removed her veil and had as she sat cross-legged on the bed in one of the rooms. The liquid heaven and earth spirit energy in the air surged into her body at a rapid speed and became a part of her celestial origin energy. The small round box on the necklace pendant on her beautiful jade neck had been opened at some unknown time, revealing the true appearance of the divine crystal inside. The liquid heaven and earth spirit energy surged out of the divine crystal and filled the entire room. For a time, the entire room seemed to have transformed into a holy land for cultivation. With such a cultivation environment, it'll be a shame if I can't break through and become an indigo sun golden celestial in such a short time. An intoxicated expression appeared on Duan Tian's face as he sat cross-legged with his back facing Huan-er. He could not help but think to himself, what a coincidence. After taking a deep breath, he closed his eyes and began to cultivate. For him, this cultivation environment was enough to push his cultivation speed to the limit. Celestial stones were no longer of any use to him. Only the medicinal efficacy of the pills in his body could help him increase his cultivation speed. Duan Tian lost track of time as he cultivated. He tried his best to break through the bottleneck to become a blue sun golden celestial. It felt like only a moment had passed, but it also felt like a century had passed. I've broken through. Duan Tian, who had completely immersed himself in his cultivation, had lost track of time. When he successfully broke through and became an indigo sun golden celestial, he regained his senses immediately. Whoosh! Rings of celestial origin energy rippled out from Duan Tian's body. The ripples were particularly eye-catching when they collided with the liquid heaven and earth spirit energy. Brother Tian, you've broken through so quickly? When Duan Tian opened his eyes, a pleasantly surprised expression appeared on his face. At the same time, Huan-er's surprised voice rang in his ears. What's the matter? Huan-er, how long have I been cultivating? Duan Tian asked, even though he did not know if Huan-er knew how long he had been cultivating. Brother Tian, you've only been cultivating for 3 days, Huan-er replied. Duan Tian nodded. 3 days? Duan Tian was dumbfounded. Although he thought it would not take long for him to break through the bottleneck to become an indigo sun golden celestial in such a good cultivation environment, he did not expect it would only take him 3 days. Isn't this a little too fast? Duan Tian took a long time before he regained his senses. In the end, he attributed this to the cultivation environment he was in. Brother Tian's cultivation method, Huan-er said. Duan Tian's voice sounded. Huan-er's cultivation base? Huan-er's voice. Yes. Huan-er nodded. Then, she continued to say, Brother Tian, you have 99 heavenly veins, just like me. Although your physique is not as good as mine, and your innate talent is slightly inferior to mine, it shouldn't be that bad. With your innate talent, you wouldn't be absorbing the heaven and earth spirit energy so slowly unless you're cultivating a low-level cultivation method. Huan-er's words revealed Duan Tian's predicament. His cultivation method was too weak. Indeed, Duan Tian's cultivation method was considered weak in the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. After all, it was only a yellow-grade cultivation method. Although it was a graded cultivation method, it was the weakest among graded cultivation methods. Brother Tian, do you want me to teach you my cultivation method? Huan-er asked. Upon hearing Huan-er's words, Duan Tian's eyes lit up immediately. How could her cultivation method be weak when she possessed a rare treasure like a divine crystal? Duan Tian's breathing quickened when he heard Huan-er's words. Huan-er. However, after a while, Duan Tian seemed to have thought of something. He felt as though a bucket of cold water had been poured over his head, and he regained his senses. Didn't your mother tell you not to tell others about your cultivation method? Even if it's inconvenient, it's better not to share it. Big brother Ling Tian, you can just go and look for a higher grade cultivation method. Duan Ling Tian added. Earlier, when he heard Ker's words, he was overjoyed and overjoyed. Now that he had regained his senses, he realized it was a taboo for him to share his cultivation method with others. Brother Ling Tian, I was born with this cultivation method. It's been in my memory ever since I was born. My mother said it's part of her memory. Among the Phantom Fox clan, only the Thousand Phantoms Ice Fox that only appears once in a million years has this part of her memory, Huaner said. Before my mother left, she didn't say I couldn't pass the cultivation technique to others. However, I tried to pass it to my mother, but she couldn't cultivate it. I don't know why. Huaner said, born with it? Part of her memory? Even your mother can't cultivate it? Upon hearing this, Duan Lingtian shook his head. In that case, I don't think I can cultivate it as well. After all, it's something you were born with. It's probably tailor-made for you. Others won't be able to cultivate it. My mother is a pure celestial beast, so she can't cultivate it. Brother Ling Tian, you're a pure human. Perhaps you can cultivate it? Huaner said. Upon hearing this, a hint of hope appeared in Duan Lingtian's eyes. That was right. Huaner's mother was a pure celestial beast, so she could not cultivate. Perhaps she did not have the bloodline of a human. Apart from the bloodline of a celestial beast, Huaner also had the bloodline of a human. As a human, he might be able to cultivate the cultivation method in Huaner's memory. Although I don't know what Huaner's true form is or what the Thousand Phantoms Ice Fox is, since it's a celestial beast that only appears once in a million years in the Phantom Fox clan, it means the Thousand Phantoms Ice Fox is not simple. As for the Phantom Fox clan, let's not talk about the other Phantom Foxes. Based on the fact that Huaner's mother left her with a divine crystal, it's obvious Huaner's mother is not simple. The Phantom Fox clan is not simple. If that's the case, the cultivation method in the Thousand Phantoms Ice Fox's memory must be. Although Duan Lingtian did not know the grade of the cultivation method in Huaner's memory, he was certain it was not an ordinary cultivation method. Otherwise, how could Ku have broken through and become an overarching heavenly supreme celestial in just 10 years? A 13-year-old overarching heavenly supreme celestial? Such a person was as rare as a phoenix feather and a Qilin horn in the spirit overarching heaven. For this reason, when Huaner taught Duan Lingtian the cultivation method in her memory, Duan Lingtian was so excited that it took a long time for him to calm down. Until he discovered he could not cultivate the cultivation method Huaner had taught him. However, based on Huaner's memory, Duan Lingtian was able to make a rough guess. He was certain Huaner's cultivation method was superior to a heaven-grade cultivation method. Naturally, this was only Duan Lingtian's speculation. After all, Duan Lingtian had never come into contact with a heaven-grade cultivation method before, so he did not know what it was like. Big brother Ling Tian, why don't I help you get a cultivation method that's more advanced than the one you're cultivating? She could not help but feel anxious when she saw the disappointment in the depths of Duan Ling Tian's eyes. She could not help but feel upset when she saw the disappointment in the depths of Duan Ling Tian's eyes. Huaner, focus on your cultivation. You don't have to worry about the cultivation method. Brother Ling Tian can handle it himself. Duan Ling Tian patted Huaner's head and said with a smile, Huaner, when your cultivation base improves, you'll be able to help Brother Ling Tian deal with stronger enemies if Ling Tian encounters them. For example, right now, we're afraid of the Zhou clan because we're weak. That's why we have no choice but to seek refuge in the fleeting time inn. When Duan Ling Tian saw Huaner's hesitation, he continued to say, if we're stronger than them, we won't have to resort to this. Even if we're standing in front of the Zhou clan, they won't dare to make a move on us. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, a hint of determination flashed in Huaner's eyes. She closed her eyes again and began to cultivate. As for Duan Lingtian, he pushed open the door and left the room. As soon as Duan Lingtian walked out of the room, a part of the liquid heaven and earth spirit energy followed him out. However, since Duan Lingtian was quick to close the door, the liquid heaven and earth spirit energy quickly dispersed in the air and became thinner. Guest Chang'er was tending to the plants in the courtyard. When she saw Duan Lingtian, She quickly put down what she was doing and bowed. Her eyes shone brightly as she looked at Duan Lingtian. It was as though she was trying to hint to him that as long as Duan Lingtian was willing, she would obey Duan Lingtian and do anything for him. Go about your business. After Duan Lingtian smiled at Chang'er, he went to the door and hung the red cloth given to him by the page boy, Little Six. Then, he returned and entered another room. Chang'er, if Little Six is here, come to the door and call for me, Duan Lingtian said to Chang'er before he entered the room.
Yes.
Chang'er replied respectfully. After returning to his room, Duan Lingtian sat on his bed and summoned a gray flame. It was the Chaos Divine Flame. Naturally, in Duan Lingtian's eyes, the Chaos Divine Flame was only a primitive celestial fire. As expected, after my cultivation base has improved, more of the gray flame has come out of the defective metal piece. I can control more of the gray flame now. At this rate, I might be able to control all of the gray flame in the defective metal piece when I become a great overarching golden celestial. Duan Lingtian's eyes shone brightly like the stars in the night sky. End of chapter. Partridge? At this rate, I might be able to control all of the gray flame in the defective metal piece when I become a great overarching golden celestial. Chapter 27-24. When Duan Lingtian had broken through and became a blue sun golden celestial, he discovered he could control more of the gray flame. As for the extra portion of gray flame, it only left the metal fragment after he had a breakthrough in his cultivation base. It fused with the gray flame that he could control previously and became a part of it. At the same time, the gray flame had grown a lot stronger. Now that he had broken through and become an indigo sun golden celestial, Duan Lingtian discovered more of the gray flame had left the defective metal piece and merged with the gray flame that he could control. Based on this, it seemed like when he became a great overarching golden celestial, all of the gray flame would be able to leave the defective metal piece and merge with the gray flame that he could control. At that time, the gray flame would grow even stronger. When I become a great overarching golden celestial, I'll be able to control a mediocre celestial fire. As the gray flame that he could control grew, Duan Lingtian became more and more certain. If Duan Lingtian could control the gray flame in the defective metal piece, the gray flame would definitely be a mediocre celestial fire instead of a primitive celestial fire. At that time, I'll become a mediocre celestial alchemist. Duan Lingtian's eyes shone brightly when he thought about this. Duan Lingtian glanced at the gray flame that he could control again before he extinguished it with just a thought. I wonder if it's a special ability of the Phantom Fox clan or a special ability of her true form, the Thousand Phantoms Ice Fox. Duan Lingtian thought to himself as he looked at Duan Lingtian. When Duan Lingtian recalled how Huan had revealed he had 99 heavenly veins, he could not help but feel shocked. According to the pagoda spirit of the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, Hua Lao, the three-legged golden crow, even heavenly emperors in Devata realms can't tell how many heavenly veins a person has. To this day, the only person who can see that I have 99 heavenly veins is Xiajie, Ker's third uncle from the divine offering land. There was no doubt Xiajie was stronger than heavenly emperors in the Devata realms. However, she was far weaker than the heavenly emperor. For this reason, Duan Lingtian thought she must be a member of the Phantom Fox clan or 1,000 Phantoms Ice Fox to see through his 99 heavenly veins. Huan isn't as simple as she seems. At this moment, Duan Lingtian could sense that Huan was not as simple as she seemed. Most importantly, Huan had said, "That's right." Like him, she also had 99 heavenly veins. Guest, Brother Little Six is here. Duan Lingtian was still in a daze as he thought about everything that had happened since he met Huan. At this moment, Chang'er knocked on his door a few times. The two innermost rooms of the Drifting Cloud Inn's courtyard were set up with soundproof formations. Only when someone knocked on the door would there be a gap in the soundproof formation. Otherwise, Chang'er's voice would not have been heard. Upon hearing Chang'er's voice, Duan Lingtian opened the door and walked to the entrance of the courtyard. Guest. When Duan Lingtian saw the page boy, Little Six, again, he could clearly feel the way he looked at him had changed. Moreover, The page boy's attitude toward him was much more respectful than before. Why do I feel like you've become more courteous in just a few days? Duan Lingtian asked teasingly. Guest, please don't tease me. Little Six smiled bitterly and said, everyone in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom knows about what you and the person next to you have done. I didn't expect you and the person next to you to kill an elder of the Zhou clan. Moreover, you even killed him in front of Zhou Shudong, the fourth miss of the Zhou clan. However, it's fortunate that you didn't kill the fourth miss of the Zhou clan. Otherwise, I'm afraid even the fleeting time in wouldn't be able to protect you. When Little Six reached the end of his sentence, he seemed to be relieved on Duan Lingtian's behalf. Why do you say that? Duan Lingtian asked in surprise. 3 days ago, when he first arrived at the Fleeting Time Inn and learned that the inn was not afraid of the Zhou clan, he regretted not killing the culprit, the fourth young lady of the Zhou clan. After all, she was the one who started the whole thing. He did not kill her because he was worried the Zhou clan would act out of desperation if they were forced to stay in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Guest, it's fine if you kill an ordinary member of the Zhou clan. However, you mustn't touch the children of the clan leader of the Zhou clan. After all, they're cousins with the fourth prince of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, and they have a good relationship. This is especially true for the fourth miss of the Zhou clan. She's close to the fourth prince, and the fourth prince dotes on her a lot. He treats her like his own sister. If you kill her, not only will the Zhou clan seek revenge from you, but the fourth prince will also seek revenge from you, Little Six said. Duan Lingtian frowned. The fourth prince of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom? Duan Lingtian raised an eyebrow when he heard Little Six words. He did not expect the fourth miss of the Zhou clan to have such a close relationship with the fourth prince of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. 3 days ago, when he was in the restaurant, he had heard about the 3 most outstanding princes of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. One of them was the fourth prince. Moreover, it was said that the fourth prince was one of the 2 princes with the highest chance of becoming the next emperor of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Yes, Little Six nodded. The fourth prince's mother is the clan leader of the Zhou clan. She's also the biological sister of the fourth miss of the Zhou clan's father. Realization dawned on Duan Lingtian. Sir, is there anything you need me to do for you? Little Six asked. The Nian clan of the Fleeting Time and should have an auction house, right? Duan Lingtian asked. Yes. Little Six nodded. Then, he asked with a smile, what's wrong? Are you interested in the auction? Yes. Duan Lingtian nodded. The Nian clan's auction house holds a small-scale auction every month and a large-scale auction every year. The small-scale auction will be held in 5 days. Little Six said. Then, he added, the Nian clan's auction house is located near the Fleeting Time Inn. If you'd like to participate in the auction, just let me know, and I'll arrange for you to be escorted there by the Nian clan's powerhouses. What kind of items will be auctioned in a small-scale auction? Duan Lingtian asked. He had to learn more about the items before deciding if he wanted to participate in the small-scale auction held by the Nian clan. In his opinion, with such frequent auctions, there probably wouldn't be any rare or precious items. However, the profound-grade cultivation method he wanted should not be considered rare in the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Moreover, in the Devata realms, cultivation methods could be copied using memory celestial talismans. Duan Lingtian heaved a sigh of relief when he heard Little Six words. It's just as I thought. In the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, profound-grade cultivation methods are not rare. There will be a small auction in 5 days. There will be a total of 7 profound-grade cultivation methods up for auction. Duan Lingtian was relieved. At the same time, he said to Little Six, Little Six, help me make the arrangements. I'm going to attend the small auction held by the Nian family's auction house in 5 days. Not long after Little Six left, Duan Lingtian stayed in the courtyard for a while. Just as he was about to return to his room, a few uninvited guests appeared in his guest room. Dear guest, the fourth prince wishes to see you. A loud and energetic voice rang from outside the courtyard, causing Duan Lingtian, who was about to return to his room, to stop in his tracks. His servant, Chang'er, looked at Duan Lingtian and said, Dear guest, it's the voice of the innkeeper. The innkeeper of the Drifting Cloud Inn? Duan Lingtian raised an eyebrow. He looked at Chang'er and said, Chang'er, open the door. After he finished speaking, Duan Lingtian returned to the stone table in the courtyard and sat down calmly. After the door was opened, Chang'er bowed respectfully to the people outside. Soon after, 4 people entered the courtyard. One of them was an old acquaintance of Duan Lingtian's. Of course, even though they were old acquaintances, they had only met once. It was none other than Zhou Shudong, the 4th miss of the Zhou clan. As the saying went, when enemies meet again, their eyes turn red. As soon as Zhou Shudong entered the room, she glared at Duan Lingtian furiously. It was as though she could not wait to tear Duan Lingtian into pieces before burning his bones and scattering his ashes. Zhou Shudong and a young man dressed in a green robe with gold embroidery walked at the front. Behind them were an ordinary-looking old man who gave Duan Lingtian an unfathomable feeling, and a middle-aged man dressed in luxurious robes. Based on Chang'er's greeting to the 4 people, Duan Lingtian could tell the middle-aged man was the innkeeper of the Drifting Cloud Inn. As for the other 2 people, the young man dressed in a green robe with gold embroidery was tall and sturdy. He was handsome and had an extraordinary bearing. He was most likely Long Xiangyun, the 4th prince of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. The other old man was most likely Long Xiangyun, the 4th prince's bodyguard. Since he was able to stay by the 4th prince of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom's side and protect him, it was clear he was not an ordinary person. At the very least, he was an extraordinary overarching heavenly supreme celestial. After the 4 people entered the courtyard, Duan Lingtian remained seated at the table. From the beginning until the end, he had no intention of standing up at all. How dare you? Zhou Shudong glared at Duan Lingtian and said, Why aren't you standing up to greet the 4th prince? I was wondering who it was. As it turns out, it's Miss Zhou. Chapter 27-25. Dong don't be rude. Long Xiangyun, the 4th prince of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, and Duan Lingtian looked at each other for a moment before he said to Zhou Shudong, Sir, we are guests. You can't expect us to keep standing here, right? Without waiting for Zhou Shudong's reply, Long Xiangyun looked at Duan Lingtian and continued to say, You're right, guest? Duan Lingtian smiled faintly and said unhurriedly, If the 4th prince is here as a guest, I will naturally welcome you. However, I'm afraid that the 4th prince is not simply here as a guest, right? Duan Lingtian glanced at Zhou Shudong before he finally retracted his gaze and looked at Long Xiangyun. Your Highness the 4th prince, I just probed this person, and the feedback given to me by the aura of his flesh and blood is that he is not even 100 years old. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, an old man's voice transmission rang in Long Xiangyun's ears. It was none other than the old man who had been following Duan Lingtian around to inform him that Duan Lingtian was not even 100 years old. Upon hearing that the purple-clad young man was less than 100 years old, Long Xiangyun's eyes narrowed slightly. His cousin was a blue sun golden celestial. However, under the circumstances that the person before him didn't utilize an immortal artifact, the person before him was able to blast his cousin flying and injure her with a raise of his hand, and he revealed a strength that was simply not on the same level as his cousin. This was enough to show that this person was at least an indigo sun golden celestial, or even a violet sun golden celestial. Moreover, he would rather the other party be a violet sun golden immortal. Because based on the strength they'd revealed, the lower their cultivation, the more terrifying their background would be. Because it meant that they'd grasped an extremely high-level celestial technique or divine ability, and high-level celestial techniques and divine abilities were usually only possessed by formidable powers. What about his cultivation? Long Xiangyun asked. I can't see through his cultivation. He seems to have used some method to hide his cultivation. The old man continued. When Long Xiangyun heard this, Long Xiangyun felt that the person in front of him was becoming more and more mysterious. Donger, apologize. After exchanging glances with Duan Lingtian for a while, he discovered that Duan Lingtian's eyes were calm from beginning to end. He immediately looked at Zhou Shudong and said, just as Zhou Shudong's expression changed slightly and she was about to refute, before I find out his background, You'll have to bear with it and cooperate with me. If I confirm that he doesn't have any background, I promise you that I won't let him leave the capital alive. Long Xiangyun's voice transmission entered Zhou Shudong's ears. Upon hearing Long Xiangyun's words, Zhou Shudong realized that her cousin did not really want her to apologize. Instead, he wanted her to cooperate with him to find out more about the purple-clad young man whom she hated to the core. For a moment, she no longer rejected him. She looked at Duan Lingtian and said, "Sorry. Please have a seat, fourth prince." Since the fourth prince of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom was so polite, Duan Lingtian, naturally, did not put on airs. He nodded at Long Xiangyun and gestured for him to take a seat. Long Xiangyun smiled and sat down. However, as soon as Long Xiangyun sat down and placed his hand on the stone table began to shake. Duan Lingtian's hand that was placed on the table shook as well. Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes. Although he did not sense any hostility from Long Xiangyun, he knew Long Xiangyun was testing him. Long Xiangyun's strength through the stone table was comparable to a yellow-rank great overarching golden celestial. Naturally, Duan Lingtian could see Long Xiangyun had only casually released this energy. It was far from his full strength. Duan Lingtian took a deep breath and released a similar amount of energy from his hand. For a moment, he was evenly matched with Long Xiangyun. It was difficult to tell who had the upper hand. A great overarching golden celestial? Long Xiangyun's eyes widened when he saw Duan Lingtian releasing his strength. After a long while, he retracted his strength. Duan Lingtian did the same when he saw Long Xiangyun retracting his strength. "How should I address you, brother?" Long Xiangyun asked Duan Lingtian with a smile on his face after he retracted his strength. It was as though he had met a rare confidant. The old man standing behind him, Zhou Shudong, the innkeeper of the Fleeting Time Inn, and Chang were stunned when they heard Long Xiangyun calling Duan Lingtian brother. This was the fourth prince of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom. But now, he was actually addressing someone he had obviously met for the first time as brother. His cultivation base is at least a yellow-rank great overarching golden celestial, Long Xiangyun said to the old man and Zhou Shudong through voice transmission. Zhou Shudong was slightly taken aback when she heard Long Xiangyun's words. However, the old man's eyes widened in shock when he looked at Duan Lingtian again. He knew the purple-clad young man was not even 100 years old. A great overarching golden celestial who was not even 100 years old? There was no one like that in the soaring dragon celestial kingdom. Even in the high-rank celestial kingdoms around the wasteland, there were only a few great overarching golden celestials who were not even 100 years old. However, a great overarching golden celestial who was not even 100 years old was sitting in front of him. He's not even 100 years old. At the same time, Zhou Shudong's cousin, Long Xiangyun, transmitted his voice to her through voice transmission. Upon hearing this, Zhou Shudong's expression changed drastically when she heard Duan Lingtian was a great overarching golden celestial. A hint of disbelief could be seen in the depths of her eyes. The purple-clad young man whom she had taken a fancy to was actually a great overarching golden celestial who was not even 100 years old? There were many great overarching golden celestials in the soaring dragon celestial kingdom. However, there was not a single great overarching golden celestial who was not even 100 years old in the soaring dragon celestial kingdom. I'm not used to telling people I'm not familiar with my name. Duan Lingtian replied indifferently to Long Xiangyun's question. If Duan Lingtian had said this in the past, both Zhou Shudong and the old man behind Long Xiangyun would have thought he was seeking death. However, they did not think so at this moment. Instead, they felt it was only right for him to do so. "Then, I'll ask for your name when we're more familiar with each other." A hint of displeasure flashed in the depths of Long Xiangyun's eyes, but he did not show it on his face. Instead, he smiled faintly. Since Duan Lingtian did not reveal his name, Long Xiangyun did not bother to ask about his background. Instead, he took the initiative to chat with Duan Lingtian. At the same time, he found out that Duan Lingtian had just arrived in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. "Brother, you seem to have a companion? I heard from my cousin that she's your younger sister?" Long Xiangyun asked Duan Lingtian in a familiar tone. It was as though he really regarded Duan Tian as a brother. She's not my biological sister. She's my junior sister. Duan Tian nodded. Then, he said with a troubled expression on his face, speaking of which, I came to the wasteland because of my junior sister. She insisted that I accompany her to the wasteland. Otherwise, she wouldn't give up. She even brought me along to shake off the sect's elders whom the sect leader had assigned to her. Initially, I didn't want to come with her. However, I'm not as strong as her, so she knocked me out and brought me out. When I woke up, I was already in the wasteland. A helpless expression appeared on Duan Lingtian's face when he reached the end of his sentence. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Long Shangyun's eyes lit up slightly. Based on Duan Lingtian's words, he realized that Duan Lingtian's sect was not in the wasteland. Outside of the desolate region, in the large area around the desolate region, it was rare to find a place as backward as the desolate region. In those places, there were more powerhouses, better cultivation environments, and more abundant cultivation resources. Did she become your junior sister because she joined the Wasteland Celestial Kingdom late? Long Shangyun asked tentatively. That's not it. Duan Lingtian shook his head. Apart from the fact that I joined the Wasteland Celestial Kingdom first, she's my junior sister because I'm older than her. However, as soon as she joined the Wasteland Celestial Kingdom, my sect leader took a liking to her and took her in as his last disciple. A hint of envy flashed in Duan Lingtian's eyes when he reached the end of his sentence. However, it was only for a moment before it disappeared. Although it was just a flash, Long Shangyun still managed to catch it. Brother, your junior sister's innate talent is higher than yours. Although Long Shangyun appeared calm on the surface, his heart was in turmoil. Based on what he knew, the white-clad woman was a white-clad woman. The white-clad woman next to the purple-clad young man had the strength to kill the elder of the Zhou clan who was by his cousin's side. The elder of the Zhou clan was an earth-rank great, overarching golden celestial. Long Shangyun had asked the old man next to him. According to the old man, the white-clad woman was at least a peak great, overarching golden celestial. Naturally, if she had a powerful background and mastered powerful celestial methods and divine abilities, she might only be a heaven-rank great, overarching golden celestial. That's right. Otherwise, how could she have been taken in by my sect's senior uncle as his last disciple? Duan Lingtian nodded. Currently, Duan Lingtian seemed to be serious on the surface, and there wasn't the slightest trace of pretense. If Duan Lingtian were on Earth in his previous life, it would not be a problem for him to win the Best Actor award. At the same time, the innkeeper of the Drifting Cloud Inn was also in a state of shock. He had no idea how strong Duan Lingtian was. However, he had discovered through his divine consciousness that Duan Lingtian was not even 100 years old. However, Duan Lingtian had just said the white-clad woman next to him was his junior sister. Moreover, she was younger than him. Based on what he knew. Chapter 27-26. Brother, about the matter 3 days ago, my insensible cousin has offended you. As her cousin, I apologize to you here. I hope that you won't hold a grudge against her and won't hold it against her. Long Xiangyun smiled as he spoke to Duan Lingtian. You're too kind, fourth prince. My junior sister and I only wasted some time on that matter. We didn't suffer any losses. Let's not talk about it. Duan Lingtian smiled faintly. I'm relieved to hear that. If you're free, you can come to the Imperial Palace to look for me. As Long Xiangyun spoke, he took out a token and handed it to Duan Lingtian. It was a token used to enter and exit the Imperial Palace of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. One could enter and leave the Imperial Palace as long as one showed it at the entrance. Of course, Duan Lingtian casually put the token away. He had no intention of entering the Imperial Palace to look for Long Xiangyun since he did not want to have anything to do with Long Xiangyun. Although Long Xiangyun seemed to believe Duan Lingtian's words, Duan Lingtian could tell that Long Xiangyun believed him. However, he could tell that Long Xiangyun only believed Long Xiangyun. Long Shangyun only half believed his words. The reason why he didn't fall out with him was mostly because he didn't know his true background. At least, he hadn't found out anything about him yet. Otherwise, Long Xiangyun would definitely have a different attitude. As expected of one of the two most likely candidates to become the next emperor of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom, not only is the fourth prince smart, but he also knows how to be patient. However, this is good as well. At the very least, he won't make a move on me before he figures out my background. In fact, he might even warn the Zhou clan not to make a move on me. Duan Lingtian thought to himself, "Brother, I still have some matters to attend to, so I'll take my leave first. I look forward to seeing you in the Imperial Palace. At that time, let's drink until we're drunk." Long Xiangyun said to Duan Lingtian with a smile as he stood up. "All right." Duan Lingtian nodded. However, he did not stand up. He continued to sit there and respond to Long Xiangyun's words. Seeing this, Long Xiangyun was not angry. He called out to Zhou Shudong and left with the old man. He did not even greet the innkeeper of the Fleeting Time Inn. "Sir, I'm Wang Peng, the owner of Fleeting Time Inn. I couldn't stop the fourth prince from coming to see you." After Long Xiangyun and the others left, the innkeeper of the Fleeting Time Inn, the middle-aged man, bowed and apologized to Duan Lingtian. His tone was filled with humility. However, he wasn't sure if the person in front of him had such an exaggerated background. However, based on the fact that Duan Lingtian dared to act so casually in front of the fourth prince of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom, even if Duan Lingtian was deliberately mystifying, the fourth prince of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom had no choice but to admit defeat. Therefore, he now completely regarded the other party as someone with a powerful background. "Yes." Duan Lingtian responded indifferently. He didn't look at Wang Peng at all. He stood up and went back to his room, closing the door in Wang Peng's face. Upon seeing this, Wang Peng did not dare to be angry. Instead, he felt it was only natural. After all, if Duan Lingtian's background was as exaggerated as Wang Peng had said, then Duan Lingtian had the right to act this way. "Take good care of this guest." Before Wang Peng left, he specially instructed the servant girl, Chang and the latter repeatedly agreed. After Wang Peng left, Chang looked at the room Duan Lingtian had entered in the room where Huan was in closed-door cultivation. Her eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. She did not expect this. She did not expect the first guest she served in the Fleeting Time Inn would be treated in such a manner. After all, the fourth prince of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom was one of the three most outstanding princes of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. He was also one of the two most beloved sons of the Emperor of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Even such an existence was so cautious in front of the customer she was serving. This made Cha even more certain that the guest she served was not simple. Meanwhile, Long Xiangyun, the fourth prince of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, brought Zhou Shudong back to the palace. After leaving his residence, he said solemnly to Zhou Shudong, "Don't provoke that person in the future. Cousin, do you believe him?" Zhou Shudong asked. "I can't say that I believe him completely, but I can't say that I don't believe him completely. If he's just bluffing, it won't matter even if I kill him. However, if he's telling the truth, killing him will only bring me endless trouble. It's precisely because of this that unless we can confirm his background, otherwise, this person can't be easily provoked. At the very least, I won't provoke him. After all, I've personally tested his strength. There's no doubt he's a great overarching golden celestial. Moreover, I'm certain he's not even 100 years old. A great overarching golden celestial who's not even 100 years old, unless he has a fortuitous encounter, he's most likely from a powerful force. Moreover, even if that force is weak, it shouldn't be weaker than the imperial family of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom." Long Xiangyun said in a deep voice. There were nearly 20 princes in the imperial family of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. The fact that Long Xiangyun stood out among the 20 princes was enough to prove he was not an ordinary person. Long Xiangyun did not dare to make a move on Duan Lingtian unless he was completely confident. As the saying went, cleverness leads to the downfall of cleverness. Long Xiangyun was currently in this situation. However, he had no other choice. Upon hearing Long Xiangyun's words, Zhou Shudong fell silent. "Dong don't think that I'm just scaring you. Unless we can find out more about that person's background, I don't think it's just me, or even the Zhou clan, who should act rashly against him." Long Xiangyun continued to say. Based on what we're certain of, he's not from the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Based on what he said, he's from a sect outside the wasteland. I don't have the ability to verify this. Even the Zhou clan and the imperial family can't verify this. Unless... Long Xiangyun paused for a moment. Unless what? Zhou Shu Dong asked. After all, the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect is one of the three major celestial sects in the wasteland. The Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect is very powerful and has a vast intelligence network. Your clan and the imperial family can't compare to them. Zhou Shudong's eyes lit up. Third sister? Zhou Shudong's eyes lit up when she heard Long Xiangyun's words. However, her eyes soon dimmed. But, third sister left the wasteland with her master a few years ago. I heard she came back last month. Long Xiangyun smiled. Third sister came back last month? Zhou Shudong's eyes lit up again. Then, I'll go look for her. Zhou Shudong's third sister was the other daughter of the clan leader of the Zhou clan. The head of the Zhou family had a total of 4 children, 2 sons and 2 daughters. Among them, Zhou Shudong was the youngest. In front of Zhou Shudong was a daughter who was younger than the 2 sons. She was ranked 3rd. The daughter of the Zhou clan was known as 3rd Miss Zhou. She was the pride of the Zhou clan and the entire Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. After all, she was the most talented person in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom in the past 1,000 years. Moreover, she had joined the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect and became the last disciple of the former sect leader of the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect. Since the current sect leader of the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect was a disciple of the former sect leader of the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect, she was the junior sister of the current sect leader of the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect. In the imperial family of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, there were 3 outstanding princes. However, only 2 of them were favored by the Emperor of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom and were most likely to become the next emperor. The reason why this happened was because of this, the remaining prince had a complicated background. Even the Emperor of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom was not certain if the prince was his biological son. Because of that, the Emperor treated him differently from the other princes. Even if he was as outstanding as the 4th prince and the 7th prince, he was the 13th prince. Long Fei Yun. Unknown origin. He claims to be from a sect outside the wasteland. He's not even 100 years old, but his junior sister, who's younger than him, is strong enough to kill an Earth-rank great overarching golden celestial of the Zhou clan with ease. In the 13th prince's temporary residence in the imperial palace, a handsome young man dressed in a white robe with golden edges sat in a pavilion that was surrounded by flowers and plants. He looked at the middle-aged man standing in front of the pavilion as he muttered to himself. Even 4th brother is afraid of him and doesn't dare to touch him? Suddenly, the handsome youth raised his head, revealing a handsome and fair face. He looked at the person outside the pavilion and asked. The handsome young man's skin was as fair as jade, comparable to that of a woman. However, there was a hint of masculinity between his eyebrows. With the contradictory combination of feminine and masculine, anyone with a normal memory would be able to engrave him deeply in their mind as long as they looked at him. Yes, Your Highness. Outside the pavilion, the middle-aged man stood there respectfully. It was also because Duan Lingtian was not here. Otherwise, Duan Lingtian would have recognized the middle-aged man immediately. The middle-aged man was none other than Wang Peng, the innkeeper of the Fleeting Time Inn. Also, Wang Peng continued to say, that guest has informed my subordinates that he's going to participate in the small auction held by the Yin clan 5 days from now. He's interested in that auction? The 13th prince was slightly surprised. I'm not sure. Wang Peng said. Make arrangements. Make the arrangements. 5 days from now, I will go and meet this mysterious person who can scare off my 4th brother with just a few words. The 13th prince said, Yes. Wang Peng replied respectfully, You may leave. Chapter 27:27. Time continued to pass by. In just a blink of an eye, it was time for the monthly auction held by the Yin clan's auction house. In the Fleeting Time Inn, a group of people walked out of the door. There was an old man or a middle-aged man walking in front of them. They were all expressionless as they escorted the group of people to the Nyin clan's auction house. Two of them were overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the Fleeting Time Inn. The other two were also overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the Nyin clan's auction house. The people being escorted by the four of them were all guests of the Fleeting Time Inn. Most of them had chosen to stay in the Fleeting Time Inn in order to avoid being hunted down by their enemies. It was all for the sake of the inn's protection. "Brother, did you offend anyone?" Duanling Tian was originally walking quietly at the back of the group of people when suddenly, a young man slowed down his footsteps and waited for Duanling Tian to catch up before turning to look at him and asking curiously. "I didn't offend anyone," Duanling Tian said indifferently. "You didn't offend anyone? Why are you staying in the Fleeting Time Inn? Brother, isn't that a little too extravagant?" The young man was surprised. However, a hint of doubt could be seen in his eyes. Clearly, he did not believe Duan Lingtian's words. "It's all right," Duan Lingtian said indifferently. "Brother, do you know why I'm staying in the Fleeting Time Inn?" The young man chuckled with a smug expression on his face. "Why?" Duan Lingtian was about to say that he was not interested. However, after thinking about it, he decided to listen to the young man's story since he had nothing to do along the way. "It's because after I took the virginity of the young miss of the Qi clan, I killed her. Now, the Qi clan wants to kill me as soon as possible. I took the supreme celestial stones from the young miss of the Qi clan's spatial ring and squandered them in the Fleeting Time Inn." The young man smiled smugly. "Speaking of which, that happened a few months ago. Do you see that old man over there? That's the patriarch of the Qi family. He's been waiting outside the tavern every day, waiting for me to exact his revenge." The young man pointed into the distance as he spoke to Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian looked over. In the distance, there was an old man in mourning clothes and a few middle-aged men in mourning clothes standing at the side. The old man's eyes were red as he stared at the young man who was talking to him. Through the old man's eyes, Duan Lingtian could clearly sense the deep-seated hatred in the old man's heart. When he looked at the old man, he clearly saw that the old man's gaze was also filled with hostility. "Why did you take that Miss Qi's body? Did she offend you? Did the Qi family offend you?" Duan Lingtian asked. It had been 8 days since Duan Lingtian arrived in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Apart from cultivating in seclusion for the first 3 days and successfully breaking through to an Indigo Sun Golden Celestial, he did not enter seclusion again. Instead, he left the Fleeting Time Inn and stayed in the halls of several restaurants for a few days. 5 days ago, the fourth prince of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom had arrived. After a brief confrontation, he was no longer worried that the fourth prince or the Zhou clan would seek revenge on him. After all, he knew the fourth prince and the Zhou clan would not act rashly before they investigated his background. For this reason, he could leave the Fleeting Time Inn without any worries. After wandering around for a few days, he had gained a better understanding of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom and the capital. He also gained a better understanding of the major forces in the capital. However, he had never heard of the Qi family. Most likely, the Qi family was just a small family in the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Otherwise, he would have heard of them. The eldest miss of the Qi family didn't offend me, and the Qi family didn't offend me as well. I just thought the eldest miss of the Qi family was pretty and a virgin, so I made a move on her. I can't afford to offend the other major clans, but I'm not afraid of the Qi family." The young man chuckled as though he was very proud of his actions. "I can't go against the Qi family on my own, so I can only hide in the Fleeting Time Inn for the time being. In half a month's time, my brother will bring someone to pick me up. With the strength of my brother and his people, the Qi family won't be able to do anything to me. They can only watch as I leave the Fleeting Time Inn and the capital." The young man's tone grew more and more smug as he continued to say, "In the end, the supreme celestial stones I spent in the Fleeting Time and belong to the eldest miss of the Qi family. Moreover, when I leave the inn, she still has a lot of supreme celestial stones left in her spatial ring. When my brother comes and I leave the Fleeting Time Inn and the capital safely, the clan leader of the Qi family will be so angry that he'll vomit blood." The young man looked at the clan leader of the Qi family in the distance with a smug expression on his face. "Bastard! The clan leader of the Chi family was so infuriated by the young man's smug expression that he wanted to kill him, but he was stopped by the people behind him. He could only glare at the young man with bloodshot eyes, as though he wanted nothing more than to gnaw on the young man's bones and drink his blood. When Duan Ling Tian saw the frenzied expression on the clan leader of Qi clan and the bloodshot eyes of the clan leader of Qi clan, he could not suppress the raging flames of fury in his heart. "Don't you think you've gone overboard?" Duan Lingtian asked in a low voice. "Overboard?" The young man was taken aback when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. Then, he laughed and said, "Brother, so what if I've gone overboard? In the end, I'm still the winner. Don't tell me the heavens are going to punish me. To be honest, I've already thought of a way out before I made my move. To me, all of this is just a fun game." The smile on the young man's face widened as he spoke. "Since the heavens aren't going to punish you, I'll punish you instead." Duan Lingtian could no longer suppress the anger in his heart when he heard the young man's words. His celestial origin energy that had been accumulating in his body began to gather in his hand. Swoosh! A scorching sword ray flashed past. It was Duan Lingtian who had raised his hand and swung his sword. Before the young man could react, his head was separated from his body and he was killed. Swoosh! Swoosh! In the next moment, with just a thought, the young man's severed body flew out from the crowd and landed in front of the few people from the Qi clan. The few people from the Qi clan were dumbfounded. Swoosh! 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 When the two halves of the young man's body landed on the ground, everyone's expression changed drastically. No one would have thought that something like this would happen in the blink of an eye. Boom! Boom! When the two overarching heavenly supreme celestials regained their senses, their celestial origin energies surged out of their bodies. In just a blink of an eye, they appeared in front of Duan Ling Tian. Boom! Boom! When the two overarching heavenly supreme celestials sent by the Yin family were about to attack Duan Ling Tian, the two overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the fleeting time and made their move as well. Everyone thought the two overarching heavenly supreme celestials were going to attack Duan Ling Tian as well. However, a shocking scene unfolded before everyone's eyes. At this moment, the two overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the fleeting time and appeared in front of Duan Ling Tian, blocking the path of the two overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the Yin clan's trading firm. They had no choice but to stop in their tracks. "Both of you, what are you doing?" The two overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the Yin family frowned. "Gentlemen, the person who died is no longer under the protection of the fleeting time inn. He has already checked out of the inn." One of the overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the fleeting time and said to the two overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the Yin family. This overarching heavenly supreme celestial was the one who was closest to Duan Ling Tian earlier. The conversation between Duan Ling Tian and the young man, as well as the development of the situation, were all seen and heard by his eyes and ears. If he had wanted to, he could have easily stopped Duan Ling Tian from attacking Duan Ling Tian. However, he did not make a move. He did not make a move because the innkeeper of the fleeting time and had told him and another person that the purple-clad guest was not an ordinary guest. Even the fourth prince would not dare to offend him. Checked out, the two overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the Yin family frowned. They found the innkeeper's words ridiculous. If the purple-clad guest had checked out, how could he have enjoyed the privilege of being escorted to the Yin family's estate? "Both of you, this purple-clad guest is not an ordinary person. Even the fourth prince of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom doesn't dare to offend him." When the other overarching heavenly supreme celestial in the fleeting time and sent a voice transmission to the two overarching heavenly supreme celestials in the Yin clan's trading house, their eyes widened in shock. When they looked at Duan Ling Tian again, a hint of fear could be seen in their eyes. "Both of you, thank you." At the same time, the two overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the Yin family's estate quickly thanked the two overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the fleeting time in. After all, if the two overarching heavenly supreme celestials had not warned them, they would have been in deep trouble. How could they afford to offend someone whom even the fourth prince did not dare to offend? After a brief moment, The four overarching heavenly supreme celestials exchanged a look before they returned to their posts and continued to escort Duan Lingtian and the others to the Nian family's estate. Thank you, benefactor. Thank you, benefactor. At the same time, the clan leader of the Qi clan led the members of the Qi clan to kneel and kowtow as they thanked Duan Lingtian. Meanwhile, the other guests of the fleeting time and looked at Duan Lingtian with fear in their eyes. Checked out? Naturally, they did not believe such nonsense. Chapter 27-28. Duan Lingtian walked behind the crowd with his hands clasped behind his back. His face was calm, without joy or sorrow. Even when the two overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the Nian clan's auction house appeared in front of him and were about to attack him, his expression did not change at all. The reason he was so calm was not because he was confident he could deal with an overarching heavenly supreme celestial, but because he knew the two overarching heavenly supreme celestials in the fleeting time and would definitely not stand idly by. Before killing that young man, Duan Lingtian already knew, as long as the overarching heavenly supreme celestial from fleeting time and did not allow him to kill the young man, he would not be able to kill the young man. And if the other party didn't interfere, it meant that they had tacitly allowed him to kill the young man. Under such circumstances, he was naturally not worried about the consequences of killing the young man. And the truth was just as he thought. When the two overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the Nian clan's auction house were about to attack him, the two overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the fleeting time and also appeared before him. However, they were not there to attack him, they were there to protect him. The two overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the fleeting time and must have mentioned the fourth prince during that critical moment. It was not difficult for Duan Lingtian to guess. 5 days ago, the innkeeper of the fleeting time and had witnessed the confrontation between Duan Lingtian and the fourth prince of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom. Due to Duan Lingtian's strength, the fourth prince did not dare to provoke him. And the fact that the fourth prince didn't dare to provoke him was enough to show how extraordinary he was. As long as the two overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the fleeting time and told the two overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the Nian clan's auction house, they would not dare to touch Duan Lingtian. Even the fourth prince of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom did not dare to touch him. They were merely two overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the Nian clan. Along the way, Duan Lingtian could sense that the guests of fleeting time and were wary of him. Regarding this, he could understand. After all, he had just killed a guest of the fleeting time inn, and he was not punished in any way. In fact, the people of the fleeting time and were protecting him. We're here. After about 15 minutes, the overarching heavenly supreme celestial from the Nian clan's auction house said, causing Duan Lingtian and the others to stop in their tracks. They turned to look at the person in front of them. Up ahead, a magnificent house that occupied a vast area appeared before the eyes of Duan Lingtian and the others. At a glance, every single detail of the house was meticulously crafted, and it was too much for the eyes to take in. This is the Nian family auction house? It's quite stylish. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. But this doesn't seem to be the main entrance. At the same time, Duan Lingtian realized that there was no one at the entrance of the Nian family's auction house. At the same time, the door did not seem to match the splendor of the Nian family's auction house. It was more like a small door or a back door. Everyone, please come in. After the two overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the Nian family's auction house entered the Nian family's auction house, a few attendants from the Nian family's auction house came out and welcomed Duan Lingtian and the others into the Nian family's auction house. Then, they were provided with a private room each. The private rooms in the Nian family's auction house were divided into 3 levels. Duan Lingtian and the others were led to a private room on the 2nd level. It was unknown if it was a coincidence, or if the Nian family's auction house intended this, but Duan Lingtian and the others were led to a private room called Earth Number 1. It was also the one with the best geographical location on the 2nd floor. It was also the one in the middle. The window of the private room faced the auction stage. The Nian family's auction house is quite big. It's bigger than any of the auction houses I've been to before. Duan Lingtian sat in front of the window of the private room and looked at the auction stage and the rows of seats in front of it. He could not help but sigh inwardly. In front of Duan Lingtian was an exquisitely carved wooden table with a tea set placed on top of it. Right now, there was a beautiful servant girl pouring tea for him. "How should I address you, young master?" The servant girl smiled sweetly at Duan Lingtian as she poured tea for him. "My surname is Duan." Duan Lingtian picked up the cup of tea the servant girl had poured for him and took a sip. His eyes lit up immediately. Good tea. As soon as he took a sip, Duan Lingtian could clearly feel a gentle energy flowing through his 99 heavenly veins. Although it didn't bring any improvement to his cultivation, it gave him a very comfortable feeling. He felt warm all over. "Young Master Duan, this is a tea leaf cultivated by our Nyin clan's third master when he was young. It's called the warm spring tea. Although it's not an immortal tea that can raise one's cultivation base, it can make one feel as if they're bathing in a spring breeze." Duan Lingtian nodded. "Warm spring tea? That's a good name. It lives up to its name." Duan Lingtian nodded. After that, Duan Lingtian chatted with the servant girl for a while and learned about the 3 private rooms in the Nyin clan's auction house. They were the Heaven private room, the Earth private room, and the Human private room. The Heaven private room was only open to members of the imperial family of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Naturally, members of the imperial family of a high-rank Celestial Kingdom would also be arranged to stay in the Heaven private room. Therefore, the Heaven private room was basically reserved for the imperial family. The first Earth private room is the best private room for people who aren't members of the imperial family of a high-rank Celestial Kingdom. Even the emperor of an intermediate-rank Celestial Kingdom can only stay in the first Earth private room if he comes to the Nyin clan's auction house. I didn't expect the Nyin clan's auction house to arrange for me to stay in the first Earth private room, Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Now, he was also 100% sure that he was right. The person in charge of the Nyin family's auction house must have known that he was not afraid of the fourth prince. Otherwise, he would not have arranged for him to be in the first private room. If the person in charge of the Nyin family's auction house finds out that I don't have a powerful background, I'm afraid he'll be so angry that he'll throw me out of this Earth number 1 private room, Duan Lingtian mocked in his heart. He did not expect his act in front of the fourth prince of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom would bring him so much convenience. But now, this convenience was something he could peacefully enjoy. After all, to a certain extent, apart from acting, he was also taking a risk. Soon, the auction began. On the auction stage, a host appeared. She was a graceful, luxurious, and extremely voluptuous beautiful woman. When she opened her mouth, not only was her voice pleasant to hear, it was also filled with charm. As the beautiful woman spoke, one by one, the auction items were brought to the auction stage and won by the people. An hour later, Duan Lingtian did not make a bid. This was because, up until now, he had yet to see what he wanted. Duan Lingtian continued to drink his tea. At the same time, the maidservant kept pouring tea for him. In the Nyin family's auction house, the Heaven number 1 private rooms were reserved for the imperial family of a high-rank Celestial Kingdom. Naturally, if an important figure from a powerful Celestial Kingdom came, he or she would be invited to the Heaven number 1 private room. However, this had never happened in the Nyin family's auction house. This was because no important figure from a powerful Celestial Kingdom had ever come to the Nyin family's auction house. The Heaven number 1 private room was resplendent. Whether it was the decoration or the layout, it was far superior to Duan Lingtian's Earth number 1 private room. At this moment, a handsome young man was sitting in front of a jade table in the Heaven number 1 private room. The handsome young man was dressed in a white robe with golden edges. His cheeks were fair and rosy, making him look so delicate that even women would be envious of him. However, between his brows, there was a unique masculine aura. When paired with his fair and rosy skin, it formed a contradictory combination, which also added a bit of charm to his entire person. The 2 maidservants standing in front of the jade table stole glances at the handsome young man from time to time. Every time they stole glances at him, they would blush shyly. "Your Highness, the 13th Prince, there's nothing good in this small auction. Why don't you come back after the big auction?" The person in charge of the Nyin family's auction house, an old man in his 70s, said to the handsome young man with a humble smile on his face. "I'm just here to join in the fun. I have no intention of bidding for anything. From the beginning until the end, he did not even look at the person in charge of the Nyin family's auction house at all. The person in charge of the Nyin family's auction house was a profound, overarching, heavenly supreme celestial from the Nyin family. He was on a completely different level compared to the 4 yellow-rank, overarching, heavenly supreme celestials who had escorted Duan Lingtian and the others to the auction house. However, the handsome young man seemed to have completely disregarded the person in charge of the auction house. Not only was the handsome young man not displeased, but he felt it was only right. But, just as the person in charge of the Nyin family's auction house was about to say something, the middle-aged man who was resting with his eyes closed behind the handsome young man suddenly opened his eyes. His gaze landed on the person in charge of the Nyin family's auction house. "Your Highness, the 13th Prince, if you need anything, just ask the maidservants to inform me." The person in charge of the Nyin family's auction house felt his scalp go numb when he was stared at by the middle-aged man behind the handsome young man. He shuddered and quickly excused himself. If it was said that the reason he was afraid of the handsome young man was because of the young man's identity, however, the reason he was afraid of the middle-aged man behind the handsome young man was because of the middle-aged man's strength. "I didn't expect the person next to the 13th Prince to be a heaven-rank, overarching, heavenly supreme celestial. I've only felt that gaze from the old ancestor before." Chapter 27-29. The strongest person in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom was only a peak, overarching, heavenly supreme celestial, and there were only 2 of them. Apart from peak, overarching, heavenly supreme celestials, there were no more than 10 heaven-rank, overarching, heavenly supreme celestials in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. I know the 4th and 7th princes are accompanied by heaven-rank, overarching, heavenly supreme celestials, but I didn't expect the 13th prince to be accompanied by a heaven-rank, overarching, heavenly supreme celestial as well. Logically speaking, this is impossible. After leaving the Sky Number 1 private room, the person in charge of the Nyin family's auction house was still puzzled. Although the 13th prince was not inferior to the 4th and 7th princes in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom and was a hindrance to the 4th and 7th princes, not many people were optimistic about the 13th prince's chances of winning the throne. This was because the Emperor of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom suspected that the 13th prince was not his biological son. For this reason, he treated the 13th prince coldly. He only cared about the 4th and 7th princes, so he even assigned a heaven-rank, overarching, heavenly supreme celestial to protect them. As for the 13th prince, he only gave him an earth-rank, overarching, heavenly supreme celestial. In the past, whenever he met the 13th prince would always be accompanied by the earth stage, overarching, heavenly supreme celestial. However, this time, he did not see the earth stage, overarching, heavenly supreme celestial. Instead, he saw a new face. The person next to the 13th prince isn't from the imperial family of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. I'm certain there's no such person among the 7 heaven stage, overarching, heavenly supreme celestials in the imperial family. The person in charge of the Nyin clan's auction house was also an elder of the Nyin clan. Therefore, he knew about the 7 heaven stage, overarching, heavenly supreme celestials of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom through the Nyin clan. But, as he learned, he was not one of the 7 heaven-rank, overarching, heavenly supreme celestials in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. That person should be an expert that the 13th prince found elsewhere. In the end, the person in charge of the Nyin family's auction house could only make such a guess. Once he made that guess, he could not help but gasp. After all, Duan Ling Tian was a heaven stage, overarching, heavenly supreme celestial. In the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, as long as a heaven stage, overarching, heavenly supreme celestial did not offend the imperial family, they could do whatever they wanted. Even the Nyin clan, a top clan in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, only had one heaven realm, overarching, heavenly supreme celestial. Based on this, one could see how rare heaven realm, overarching, heavenly supreme celestials were in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Due to this reason, heaven stage, overarching, heavenly supreme celestials enjoyed a high status in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. But now, he saw a heaven rank, overarching, heavenly supreme celestial, whom Duan Ling Tian, had never seen before was standing next to the 13th prince. Everyone says that the 13th prince is not simple. In some aspects, even the 4th prince and the 7th prince are far inferior to him. Today, I have seen it for myself. Putting everything else aside, it's impossible for the 4th prince and the 7th prince to recruit a heaven-stage, overarching, heavenly supreme celestial on their own. The person in charge of the Yin family's auction house thought to himself. At this moment, he realized he had underestimated the 13th prince. We must inform the clan and ask the clan leader to inform the 7th prince. The fact that a heaven-rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial has appeared by the 13th prince's side and isn't sent by the emperor is enough for the 7th prince to take this seriously. With this thought in mind, the person in charge of the Yin family's auction house took out a communication celestial talisman and sent a message back to the Yin family. Similar to the Zhou family and the 4th prince, the Yin family and the 7th prince had a close relationship as well. After all, the 7th prince's mother was the sister of the clan leader of the Zhou family. If the 4th prince had the backing of the Zhou clan when he fought for the throne, then the 7th prince had the backing of the Yin clan when he fought for the throne. As for the 13th prince, his mother was not from a prominent family in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Instead, she was brought back by the emperor of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. For this reason, the 13th prince had no one to rely on and could only rely on himself. Moreover, due to certain matters, the emperor of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom was not 100% certain that the 13th prince was his biological son. Due to this reason, the 13th prince's path to the throne was fraught with difficulties. Not many people were optimistic about his chances. Although the 13th prince was not inferior to the 4th prince and the 7th prince in all aspects, the 13th prince was still not confident in his chances. The auction continued in the Yin family's auction house. As time passed, Duan Lingtian, who was in the first earth room, finally obtained the item he had been waiting for. It was a profound-grade cultivation method. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a profound-grade cultivation method called the Cloudy Dream Celestial Technique. A graceful and elegant woman with a seductive voice spoke slowly on the auction stage. As soon as her voice rang in the air, it reverberated throughout the auction house. Even the people in the private rooms could hear her seductive voice clearly. After introducing the Cloudy Dream Celestial Technique, the beautiful woman raised her voice and said, "The starting price of the Cloudy Dream Celestial Technique is 10,000 Supreme Celestial Stones. Each increment must be no less than 5,000 Supreme Celestial Stones." Duan Lingtian sat by the window of the first earth room. He did not participate in the auction. The price of the profound-grade cultivation method, the Cloudy Dream Celestial Technique, continued to rise. In the end, it was bought by a person in the earth room for 90,000 Supreme Celestial Stones. Congratulations to the guest in the 6th earth room for successfully obtaining the profound-grade cultivation method, the Cloudy Dream Celestial Technique. Next, the 2nd profound-grade cultivation method will be sold. As soon as the auctioneer finished speaking, the 2nd profound-grade cultivation method was displayed before everyone in the auction house. In the end, the profound-grade cultivation method was sold for 90,000 Supreme Celestial Stones. A profound-grade cultivation method for 90,000 Supreme Celestial Stones isn't expensive at all. In the first earth room, Duan Lingtian, who had yet to make his move, was not in a hurry at all when he saw the 2 profound-grade cultivation methods being taken away. He sat there calmly with a calm expression on his face. It was as though he could remain calm even if Mount Tai were to collapse in front of him. There were 2 reasons he had yet to make a move. Firstly, there were 5 profound-grade cultivation methods left. Secondly, Duan Lingtian did not like the 2 profound-grade cultivation methods. Although the Xin-grade cultivation methods were similar, there were still some small differences. For example, the first profound-grade cultivation method would subtly change the characteristics of one's celestial origin energy when one cultivated it. It would make one's celestial origin energy gentle, making it more suitable for people who walked the path of gentleness. On the other hand, the 2nd profound-grade cultivation method was the opposite of the first profound-grade cultivation method. Duan Lingtian did not like either of the 2 profound-grade cultivation methods. He preferred the cultivation method that allowed one to temper one's celestial origin energy to be both gentle and firm. After the 2 profound-grade cultivation methods were sold, the 5th profound-grade cultivation method finally satisfied Duanling Tian's desire. Due to this reason, he also began to bid for it. Moreover, he was the first one to bid. 10,000 supreme celestial stones. After Duanling Tian placed his bid, he waited for the others to raise their bids before he followed suit and bid as well. After all, apart from the first 2 profound-grade cultivation methods that were sold for 90,000 supreme celestial stones each, the remaining 2 profound-grade cultivation methods were sold for 80,000 supreme celestial stones each. For this reason, Duanling Tian did not think he would be able to obtain the profound-grade cultivation method with just 10,000 supreme celestial stones. Unless, of course, everyone else was mute at this moment. 15,000 supreme celestial stones. It did not take long for someone to make a bid. It was someone from the auction house. The people in the other Earth rooms shuddered when they heard the bid. Based on that voice, the person in the first Earth room seems to be the person who killed another guest of the fleeting time in before coming to the Nyin clan's auction house. The fact that he's protected by the fleeting time and after killing another guest means that he's not a simple person. Otherwise, the fleeting time in wouldn't have protected him at the risk of ruining their reputation. We can't afford to offend this person. We can't afford to offend him. The people in the Earth rooms were all from the fleeting time in with Duanling Tian. After all, they had witnessed Duanling Tian killing another guest of the fleeting time in and coming out unscathed. Therefore, they were certain Duanling Tian was not someone they could afford to offend. For this reason, none of them dared to make a bid against Duanling Tian. 30,000 supreme celestial stones. After Duanling Tian made his bid for the 3rd time, no one made a bid for the 3rd time. The group of people in the auction hall didn't make a sound because they had limited financial resources and couldn't afford to pay a higher price. Now, many people raised their heads to look at the Earth boxes, wanting to see if the people in the other Earth boxes were competing with the people in the first Earth box. However, even after a long time, it was as if the people in the other Earth boxes were completely silent at this moment. What's going on in the other Earth rooms? Why aren't they bidding? That's a profound-grade cultivation method we're talking about. Even if it's sold on the black market at a low price, I'm sure it can be sold for 60,000 to 70,000 supreme celestial stones. The people in the Earth rooms are more than capable of buying it and reselling it. That's true. Why aren't they bidding? This is a free opportunity to earn celestial stones. The auction house was in an uproar for a while, but the people in the other Earth rooms still did not make a bid. It seems like the person in the first Earth room isn't simple. Isn't that obvious? If the person in the first Earth room is an ordinary person, why aren't the people in the other Earth rooms bidding? After all, the people in the other Earth rooms haven't made a bid since the first time he made a bid. Soon after, many people in the auction house speculated that the person in the first Earth room was not simple. At the very least, the people in the other Earth rooms did not dare to bid against him. Chapter 2730. Earlier, when Duanling Tian bid 10,000 supreme celestial stones, another person in the auction house bid 15,000 supreme celestial stones. When Duanling Tian bid 20,000 supreme celestial stones, another person in the auction house bid 25,000 supreme celestial stones. At this moment, when the 2 people who had bid with Duanling Tian saw that the Earth box had become completely silent, their expressions changed drastically. At the same time, their hearts were filled with anxiety. They were afraid the person in the first Earth room would cause trouble for them after the auction ended. After all, based on the current situation, the person in the auction house was not ordinary. After all, the person in the first Earth room was clearly not an ordinary person. What a joke. If he was an ordinary person, how could the people in the Earth room be so quiet? At the same time, the group of people in the human-grade rooms who were about to continue bidding with Duanling Tian shut their mouths obediently. They did not dare to make any rash moves. Although the people in the human room were more or less powerful than the people in the auction house, they were not as powerful as the people in the Earth room. Anyone with a bit of status would at least be arranged to be in an Earth box. For this reason, when the people in the human room saw that the people in the Earth room were silent, they did not dare to make a sound. The person in the first Earth room is bidding 30,000 supreme celestial stones for the profound grade cultivation method, the dark nether fusion tactic. Is there anyone else? The alluring voice of the beautiful woman resounded in the auction house. 30,000 supreme celestial stones going once, 30,000 supreme celestial stones going twice. Just as the beautiful woman was about to bid again, the profound grade cultivation method, the dark nether fusion tactic, would belong to Duan Lingtian. There seems to be someone in the first heaven room. The window there is open. There must be someone in there. I wonder which prince or prince of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom is in there. The princes of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom rarely come to the Nyan clan's auction house. I think it must be a prince. I'm afraid only ordinary princes would come to a small-scale auction held by the Nyan clan's auction house. However, even an ordinary prince wouldn't be afraid of the person in the first Earth room. I wonder if the person in the first Heaven VIP room will participate in the auction for this mysterious grade cultivation technique. As some sharp-eyed people in the auction hall opened their mouths, most of the people in the auction hall raised their heads and fixed their eyes on the heavenly number 1 box with its window open. The first Heaven room? Someone from the Imperial family actually came to a small-scale auction held by the Nyan clan's auction house? Duan Lingtian, who was in the first Heaven room, was surprised. However, he was not worried that the person would bid against him would bid for the profound grade cultivation method. The profound grade cultivation method, the dark nether fusion tactic, the profound grade cultivation method was the profound grade cultivation method was the nether fusion tactic? Duan Lingtian, who was the profound grade cultivation at the most? It would not be worth it if he bid more than that. But I didn't expect that not a single one of the Fleeting Time's guests would bid against me after I killed one of their guests on my way here. This was something Duan Lingtian did not expect as well. Listening to the discussions in the auction hall, he was also a little curious as to whether the person in the first private room would bid against him. However, after a long time, the person in the first Heaven room remained silent even though the beautiful woman on the stage tried to stall for time. 30,000 supreme celestial stones going thrice. The beautiful woman didn't dare delay any longer when she noticed that she had delayed for a long time. She announced the owner of the profound grade cultivation method. Congratulations to the guest in the first Earth room for obtaining the mid-grade cultivation method, the nether fusion technique, for 30,000 top-grade celestial stones. He had obtained a profound grade cultivation method with 30,000 supreme celestial stones. Needless to say, Duan Lingtian had profited this time. He didn't bid. Many people in the auction house were surprised and puzzled. Isn't that normal? The guest in the first Heaven room is from the Imperial family. It's only natural that he wouldn't be interested in a profound grade cultivation method. As for selling the profound grade cultivation method to the black market, the Imperial family wouldn't stoop to such a low price. You have a point. I wonder, which prince is in the number 1 private room? When the attention of the crowd in the auction hall shifted to the heavenly box number 1, Zhang Tai's expression changed. Long Fei Yun, the 13th prince, was sitting in the first Heaven room with a surprised expression on his face. He is actually interested in a profound level cultivation technique? A disciple from a powerful sect outside the wasteland is interested in a profound grade cultivation method? That's impossible, right? Is it possible that he's not a disciple from a powerful sect outside the yellow wasteland? Long Fei Yun muttered to himself as he tapped the jade bracelet in front of him with his hand. Naturally, he didn't come to the Nyan clan's auction house for this small auction. Normally, there wouldn't be anything that could interest him in a small auction. He came for Duan Lingtian. Although the Nyan clan had a close relationship with the 7th prince, the innkeeper of the Fleeting Time Inn was one of Long Fei Yun's men. He had learned about the incident between the 4th prince and Duan Lingtian earlier than the 7th prince. For this reason, he was interested in Duan Lingtian. For this reason, he came to the Nyan clan's auction house today. The auction continued. Duan Lingtian was not interested in any of the items in the auction house. He had already achieved his goal of coming to the auction house today. As time passed, the auction was about to come to an end. Duan Lingtian was about to leave the Fleeting Time Inn with the guests of the Nyan clan's auction house. Guest. Suddenly, a voice rang from outside the first Earth room. Young Master Duan, this is Elder Yu, the person in charge of the Nyan clan's auction house. When Duan Ling Tian heard the voice and looked towards the door of the room, the servant girl at the side had already informed Duan Ling Tian of the identity of the person outside. The person in charge of the Nyan clan's auction house? Duan Ling Tian raised an eyebrow. He was curious about the visitor's purpose. Open the door. Duan Ling Tian ordered the maidservant. Upon receiving the order, the maidservant immediately opened the door and bowed respectfully at the old man standing outside the room. Elder Yu. When Duan Ling Tian turned to look at the old man had already entered the room. He bowed slightly at Duan Ling Tian and said, "Guest, I'm the person in charge of the auction house. His Highness, the 13th Prince, wishes to see you. What do you think?" The 13th Prince? Duan Ling Tian's eyes flashed. He knew about the 13th Prince of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. He knew the 13th Prince was in no way inferior to the 4th and 7th Princes. In fact, the 13th Prince was even more outstanding than the 4th and 7th Princes. If it were not for the fact that the Emperor of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom disliked the 13th Prince, he would definitely be able to compete with the 4th and 7th Princes for the throne. It seems like the person in the first Earth Room is the 13th Prince. Duan Ling Tian had also guessed the 13th Prince's identity. Yes. Duan Ling Tian nodded at the old man. After the old man received Duan Ling Tian's permission, he immediately walked out of the room and stood by the door. Then, he respectfully made an inviting gesture and said to the handsome young man standing at the side, "Your Highness, the 13th Prince, please enter." At the same time, Duan Ling Tian also saw the famous 13th Prince of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. It's just as the rumors say. The 13th Prince is very handsome. Moreover, he's handsome with both strength and gentleness. After a while, Duan Ling Tian shifted his gaze to the middle-aged man standing behind the 13th Prince. The middle-aged man had an ordinary appearance, but when he stood behind the 13th Prince, he seemed as steady as Mount Tai. Moreover, he emitted a peculiar aura. Although it was not obvious, Duan Ling Tian could still sense it. The reason why he could sense it was because he had subconsciously come into contact with this aura before, so he had a very deep impression of it. This aura, it's similar to Morong Bing's. Duan Ling Tian had come into contact with this kind of aura from Morong Bing whom he had slept with before. Moreover, he was certain this was not an ordinary aura. It was an aura that was unintentionally emitted when one's cultivation base had reached a certain stage. My name is Long Fei Yun, the 13th Prince of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. How should I address you, brother? Long Fei Yun greeted Duan Ling Tian with a smile after he entered the room. My surname is Duan. Duan Ling Tian nodded at Long Fei Yun before he pointed at the chair in front of the table. 13th Prince, please have a seat. Upon hearing Duan Ling Tian's words, Long Fei Yun did not stand on ceremony and sat down. He glanced at the person in charge of the Nyan clan's auction house and said indifferently, "Bring your people out. I have something to say to Brother Duan in private." "Yes, Your Highness." The person in charge of the Nyan clan's auction house replied respectfully before he left the room with his servant. "Brother Duan, I've heard about you since a few days ago. You're the first person in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom to make the 4th miss of the Zhou clan suffer such a huge loss." When Long Fei Yun looked at Duan Ling Tian again, it was as though he was talking to an old friend. "It seems like you have a subordinate in the Fleeting Time Inn," Duan Ling Tian said meaningfully as he looked at Long Fei Yun. Although his relationship with Zhou Shudong was no secret in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, not many people knew he was in the Fleeting Time Inn, let alone recognize him. Not to mention the others. Just the guests of the Fleeting Time Inn who came with him to the auction house were a group of people. Chapter 2731. Naturally, when Duan Ling Tian said the 13th Prince had planted someone in the Fleeting Time Inn, he did not mean that the 13th Prince had planted someone in the Fleeting Time Inn as a guest. Instead, it was the 13th Prince who had planted someone in the inn. The Fleeting Time Inn was one of the most important properties of the Nyan clan. Moreover, the Nyan clan had a close relationship with the 7th Prince of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Naturally, they would not serve the 13th Prince. For this reason, there was only one possibility. The 13th Prince, Long Fei Yun, must have planted a subordinate in the fleeting time and who was privy to a lot of information. To tell you the truth, Brother Duan, the innkeeper of the fleeting time inn, Wang Pong, is one of my subordinates. Long Fei Yun smiled faintly when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. Oh. Duan Lingtian raised an eyebrow. He asked in surprise, "The 13th prince is so honest with me. Aren't you worried I'll spread the news? If I spread the news, even if the innkeeper of the fleeting time and doesn't die, he'll at least be skinned alive, right? Moreover, from now on, you'll have one less informant in the Nian clan." Duan Lingtian looked at Long Fei Yun meaningfully when he finished speaking. "Will you?" Long Fei Yun asked with a smile on his face. "I'm not that bored." Duan Lingtian shrugged. He had only come to the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom to find a place to stay. He would leave when he found a place to go. To Duan Lingtian, the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom and the Wasteland were just a stepping stone for him to ascend to the spirit overarching heaven. He needed to leave the Wasteland and head to a wider world to seek higher cultivation bases as quickly as possible. He only had 1,000 years of time. If he was not strong enough after 1,000 years, it would be difficult for him to rescue his wife, Kerr, and his family and friends even if he managed to enter the divine offering land. Although he had only ascended to the spirit overarching heaven for less than 10 years, he had already attained his current cultivation base. However, he knew this was only the beginning. This was just the beginning. The road ahead would only get harder and harder. This was because the higher one's cultivation was, the slower one's speed of improvement would be. Currently, he had not even become a great overarching golden celestial. His cultivation base was nothing in the Wasteland and the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, let alone the spirit overarching heaven. Although Duan Lingtian's strength could not be compared to his cultivation base, he was still far from being a match for an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. There was no lack of overarching heavenly supreme celestials in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. He had seen a few overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the Nian clan, let alone the overarching heavenly supreme celestials from the imperial family. If any of these overarching heavenly supreme celestials attacked him, he would not be able to withstand their attacks even if he used the Devata artifact, the 7 Orifices exquisite sword. That's why I told you the truth, because I believe that Brother Duan wouldn't be so bored. Long Feiyun said with a smile. Brother Duan. Long Feiyun's eyes glinted as he said bluntly, based on what I know, you're from a powerful sect outside the Wasteland. I wonder why you're interested in a profound grade cultivation method? Is there something special about the profound grade cultivation method, the dark nether fusion tactic? Long Feiyun was beginning to have doubts. The purple-clad young man in front of him did not have a powerful background. He was merely trying to scare his fourth brother so that his fourth brother would not dare to act on behalf of Zhou Shudong, the fourth young miss of the Zhou clan. He's indeed not even 100 years old. At this moment, a voice transmission rang in Long Feiyun's ears. It was from the middle-aged man standing behind him. As a heaven-rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial, the middle-aged man's divine consciousness was much stronger than Duan Lingtian. For this reason, Duan Lingtian did not notice the middle-aged man's divine consciousness when he probed Duan Lingtian with his divine consciousness. Moreover, he should know how to conceal his cultivation base. Initially, I wanted to probe his soul with my divine consciousness to confirm his cultivation base. However, before I could get close to his soul, my divine consciousness disappeared. The middle-aged man continued to speak to Long Feiyun through voice transmission. The celestial origin energy in Devata realms was very mysterious. It existed in the body of a celestial, but no matter how powerful a celestial was, it would be difficult to probe a celestial's cultivation base with their divine consciousness. Only when the celestial origin energy was released would one be able to roughly guess a celestial's cultivation base. This was due to the existence of the heavenly veins. For this reason, in the Devata realms, one had to probe a celestial's cultivation base through the soul since the increase in one's cultivation base would be accompanied by the increase in one's soul. This was similar to cultivators in the mundane realms. Whoosh! A wave of energy surged out from the table in front of Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes as he placed his hand on the table. His celestial origin energy surged out of his hand and collided with the wave of energy, suppressing it. The 13th prince's hobby is similar to the 4th prince's. At the same time, he looked at Long Fei Yun meaningfully and said, "Don't worry, Long Fei Yun won't be able to defeat you. A great overarching golden celestial. A great overarching golden celestial, who's not even 100 years old." Long Fei Yun was still in a daze when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. He did not expect the purple-clad young man, who was not even 100 years old, to be a great overarching golden celestial. Based on his probing earlier, he was 100% certain the young man was not weak at all. He was certain the young man was as strong as a yellow-rank great overarching golden celestial. Most importantly, the young man was not weak at all. He was certain the young man was not even 100 years old. No wonder fourth brother is wary of him. As it turns out, it's not only because of his junior sister who's younger than him, it's also because of him. I've never seen his junior sister before, so I'm not sure if she's strong enough to kill an Earth-rank great overarching golden celestial from the Zhou clan, even though she's not even 100 years old. However, this young man with the surname Duan is indeed not even 100 years old. He's at least a yellow-rank great overarching golden celestial. When Long Fei Yun looked at Duan Lingtian again, he could not hide the shock in his eyes. At this moment, he no longer doubted Duan Lingtian's identity. He did not think it was important since Duan Lingtian was a great overarching golden celestial, even though he was not even 100 years old. This made him think of something else. Perhaps I can make a deal with him. With this thought in mind, Long Fei Yun's eyes suddenly lit up like two bright stars in the night sky. "Brother Duan, I have an Earth-grade cultivation method. I wonder if you're interested?" Long Fei Yun asked bluntly as he stared at Duan Lingtian with burning eyes. An Earth-grade cultivation method? Duan Lingtian's eyes widened in shock when he heard Long Fei Yun's words. However, it did not take long before he regained his senses. 13th Prince, you're talking about the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom's inherited cultivation method, right? Based on Duan Lingtian's knowledge, the inherited cultivation method of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. The only known Earth-grade cultivation method in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom was the inherited cultivation method of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. As far as I know, only the direct descendants of the imperial family are allowed to cultivate the legacy cultivation method of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Moreover, there's a rule in the imperial family of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom that anyone who imparts the legacy cultivation method to outsiders, regardless of their status, will be hunted down by the imperial family. Duan Lingtian said indifferently, 13th Prince, are you trying to test me to see if I'm interested in the Earth-grade cultivation method? If I'm interested in the Earth-grade cultivation method, coupled with the fact that I bid for a profound-grade cultivation method, does that mean you're certain I'm not from a powerful sect outside the wasteland? In Duan Lingtian's opinion, Duan Lingtian must be interested in Duan Lingtian. This must be Long Fei Yun's way of testing him. Duan Lingtian's motive was just as Duan Lingtian had said. He bid for the profound-grade cultivation method because of other reasons. However, if he wanted the Earth-grade cultivation method as well, things might not be as simple as it seemed. How could a person from a powerful sect outside the wasteland, a great overarching golden celestial who was not even 100 years old, not have a decent Earth-grade cultivation method? Brother Duan, you're overthinking things. Long Fei Yun shook his head when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. In my opinion, it doesn't matter if you're from a powerful sect outside the wasteland or not. Naturally, I hope you're not from a powerful sect outside the wasteland. If that's the case, you might be interested in the Earth-grade cultivation method in my hands. Here, I want to clarify something to you, Brother Duan. The Earth-grade cultivation method I'm talking about is not the inherited method of the imperial family. I'm not afraid of your teasing, Brother Duan. I haven't even come into contact with the inherited cultivation method of the imperial family, let alone cultivate it. Long Fei Yun clenched his fists tightly when he spoke. One could vaguely see the veins on the back of his hands throbbing. It was clear he was very agitated at this moment. It's because my father thinks I'm not his biological son. When he spoke again, Long Fei Yun's eyes first flashed with a dim light, then a sharp light flashed in them, The 13th prince doesn't cultivate the inherited cultivation method of the imperial family? Duan Lingtian was shocked. He knew the emperor of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom did not like the 13th prince because he was unsure if the 13th prince was his biological son. However, he did not expect the emperor of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom to be so bold. He did not expect the emperor of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom would not pass the inherited cultivation method of the imperial family to the 13th prince just because he suspected the 13th prince was not his biological son. Chapter 2732. Haha. A bitter smile appeared on Long Fei Yun's face as he said in a self-deprecating manner, "Perhaps this matter is a bit shocking, but this is the truth. My imperial father believed that my imperial mother had an affair with a man because my imperial mother was with him for a short period of time. In fact, he even thought that I might be the child of my mother and that man." Long Fei Yun paused for a moment when he spoke. However, it was not difficult for Duan Lingtian to sense the negative emotions in Long Fei Yun's heart. If he suspected something, why did he bring my pregnant mother back to the soaring dragon celestial kingdom? If he suspected something, why didn't he just strangle me to death after my mother died in childbirth? If he suspected something, why did he let me grow up in peace? Long Fei Yun's emotions surged as he clenched his fists tightly. His fists were also tightly clenched together. Because of the force, his fingernails dug deep into his palms and pierced through his skin, causing traces of blood to seep out. His body began to tremble violently due to his excitement. Duan Lingtian remained silent. He could understand Long Fei Yun's feelings after putting himself in Long Fei Yun's shoes. The emperor of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom is the same. Since he brought the 13th prince's mother back to the soaring dragon celestial kingdom and allowed her to give birth to the child, why would he target a child for his own reasons? If he suspected something, he could have just left the 13th prince and his mother to fend for themselves. Duan Lingtian sighed inwardly. He felt that the emperor of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom had not handled this matter properly. Moreover, this matter had spread like wildfire. He could only imagine how the 13th prince had survived all these years. You can imagine. When a prince is suspected by the emperor to be a bastard, when a prince is disliked by the emperor because of this, how frightening is that? Since I was young, although the eunuchs and maids in the palace treated me with respect, I could see the disdain in their eyes. And I grew up in such an environment. Since I was young, I knew that I had no one to rely on. Even that high and mighty imperial father wouldn't help me in the slightest. He even ordered me not to practice the imperial family's inherited techniques. It's the only Earth-grade cultivation method in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom's imperial family. Without an Earth-grade cultivation technique, I can only cultivate a profound-grade cultivation technique. However, I'm not discouraged. So what if my other brothers have Earth-grade cultivation techniques? As long as I'm willing to spend more time and energy on cultivation, why can't I catch up to them, or even surpass them? At this moment, Long Fei Yun seemed to have forgotten that the purple-clad young man in front of him was an outsider whom he had met for the first time. He vented the suppressed emotions in his heart to his heart's content. When he reached the emotional part, his body trembled even more, and 2 streams of clear tears fell from the corners of his eyes. Of course, as soon as the tears fell, they evaporated. Duan Lingtian listened quietly to Long Fei Yun's recount. Gradually, he began to feel that the 13th prince was indeed quite pitiful. At the same time, he also realized that it wasn't easy for the 13th prince to reach where he was today and be as famous as the 4th prince and the 7th prince. The 13th prince had to put in 10 or even 100 times more effort than the 4th and 7th princes. The reason why I fought so hard wasn't because I wanted to compete with 4th brother and 7th brother. I didn't want to fight for the throne. I just hoped that Imperial Father could see me and approve of me. However, when I became strong enough to stand shoulder to shoulder with 4th brother and 7th brother, or even be stronger than them, I found that Imperial Father still didn't like me. In the end, it was all because of his doubts. From that moment on, my mentality changed. I wanted to seize the throne. I wanted to trample on 4th and 7th brother, whom he doted on the most, to ascend to the throne. Long Fei Yun's eyes shone with an extremely cold light as he spoke. After a few moments, Long Fei Yun finally calmed down. I'm sorry. I couldn't control my emotions and treated you as someone to confide in. After Long Fei Yun regained his senses, he smiled apologetically at Duan Lingtian. It's not easy for you. If I were you, I would have given up long ago. Duan Lingtian said in admiration. If Duan Lingtian had not experienced 2 lifetimes, he might not have been able to grow as strong as the 13th prince. Instead, he might have given up and become a useless prince. Therefore, Brother Duan, you don't have to worry that I'm testing you. There's no need for that. Long Fei Yun continued to say, it doesn't matter if you have a powerful background or not. There's no enmity between us. It's impossible for me to stand up for the 4th miss of the Zhou clan for my 4th brother. I've only said so much to tell you that the Earth-grade cultivation method I possess isn't an inherited method from the imperial family of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Speaking of which, the Earth-grade cultivation method must have something to do with my mother. Long Fei Yun could not help but sigh when he reached the end of his sentence. I'd like to hear more about it. Although Duan Lingtian was certain Long Fei Yun was telling the truth, he did not show any interest in the Earth-grade cultivation method. Brother Duan, didn't I tell you earlier that my father doesn't like me because he suspects I'm not his biological son? It's because before my mother returned to the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom with him, she had an affair with someone, Long Fei Yun said. Duan Lingtian nodded. Yes. Duan Lingtian nodded. Indeed, Long Fei Yun had mentioned this matter earlier. A year ago, my mother's lover appeared in my life. To be more precise, the person whom my mother was kind to brought an Earth-grade cultivation method in exchange for his life, Long Fei Yun said. Duan Lingtian nodded. Duan Lingtian was taken aback. At that time, I found out, in fact, my mother's lover was only her childhood sweetheart. They had never had any physical contact before. However, my suspicious imperial father always felt that there was a relationship between them. When a man is about to die, he speaks the truth. I believe that he has no reason to lie to me. According to that person, he really liked my imperial mother, but in the end, imperial mother chose imperial father, so he gave up. He originally wanted to wander the world until he found out that imperial mother had a difficult birth and that I was ostracized because of him. Initially, he wanted to take me with him. However, his strength was limited, so he couldn't break through the walls of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom's imperial palace. In the end, he died for an Earth-grade cultivation method. However, before he died, he asked Qiu Ling to look for me and asked Qiu Ling to follow me for 1,000 years. Moreover, he also asked Qiu Ling to bring the Earth-grade cultivation method to me. He knew my father had ordered me not to cultivate the only Earth-grade cultivation method in the imperial family of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. He's Qiu Ling, a heaven-rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial who's grateful to my mother's childhood sweetheart. Long Fei Yun pointed at the middle-aged man behind him as he spoke to Duan Lingtian. A heaven-rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial. Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes as he looked at the middle-aged man standing behind Long Fei Yun. A hint of shock could be seen in his eyes. Not only was he shocked by the middle-aged man's cultivation, but he was also shocked by the aura that the middle-aged man inadvertently exuded. It was an aura that he found very familiar and difficult to restrain. I'm sure it's the aura of someone who has reached a certain stage. Does this mean she's also a heaven-rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial? A beautiful figure appeared in Duan Lingtian's mind. It was none other than Murong Bing, the disciple of the compassionate celestial traveler sect whom he had once slept with. Although he knew Murong Bing was not as simple as she looked, he did not expect her to be so powerful. He did not expect her to be a heaven-rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial. As for the Earth-grade cultivation method that Brother Duan is interested in, it's the one that I'm currently cultivating. It originated from my mother's childhood sweetheart, Qiu Ling, who gave it to me. Long Fei Yun continued to say, What do you want me to do? Duan Lingtian looked at Long Fei Yun and asked after he regained his senses. There was no free lunch in this world. He believed that since Long Fei Yun had asked him if he was interested in an Earth-rank cultivation method, it meant that Long Fei Yun was definitely seeking something. or at least something from him. Otherwise, why would Duan Lingtian give him an Earth-grade cultivation method for no reason? It seems like you're interested in my Earth-grade cultivation method, Brother Duan. In that case, Brother Duan, you're indeed not someone from a powerful sect outside the wasteland? Long Fei Yun suddenly laughed. Is that important? Duan Lingtian asked. In fact, he had weighed the pros and cons in his heart. Once he expressed his desire for an Earth-rank cultivation method, it would mean that he had confessed without being pressed, admitting that everything he had said in front of the fourth prince was a lie. However, the temptation of an Earth-grade cultivation method made his heart itch unbearably. In the end, based on Long Fei Yun's behavior and his belief that Long Fei Yun, the 13th prince, would not collude with the fourth prince, he had made up his mind to fight for the Earth-grade cultivation method Long Fei Yun had mentioned. After all, the Earth-grade cultivation method was too important to him. It was what he needed the most right now. With Huan by his side, he did not have to worry about not having a good cultivation environment. As for cultivation resources such as pills, he could find other ways to obtain them. The only thing he didn't have was a high-grade cultivation method. Currently, he had no way to obtain it, therefore, now that an Earth-rank cultivation method was placed in front of him, it was very attractive to him. It's not important. Chapter 27:33. I'd like to hear the details. Duan Lingtian raised an eyebrow when he heard Long Fei Yun's words. A curious expression could be seen on his face. This means you're interested in the Earth-grade cultivation method in my possession. At the same time, we can make a deal, Long Fei Yun said with a smile. Long Fei Yun smiled and went straight to the point. A deal? Duan Lingtian raised an eyebrow. He immediately recalled the deal he made with Lu Fenggu, the city governor of Bloody Spectre City, when he first arrived in the spirit overarching heaven. The deal was that Duan Lingtian would nurture Lu Fenggu. In return, Duan Lingtian would help Lu Fenggu kill Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the county governor's estate in Nine Spectres County. After completing the deal, Duan Lingtian even obtained the gray celestial fire under Lu Fenggu's guidance. It was a mediocre celestial fire. Yes. Long Fei Yun nodded. Then, he said solemnly, Brother Duan, as long as you promise me one thing, I'll teach you the Earth-grade cultivation method. What is it? Duan Lingtian asked. I hope you'll participate in the martial competition held by the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom for the Grand Contest of the Wasteland in a year's time. With your strength, I'm sure you'll be able to obtain one of the 50 spots in the Grand Contest of the Wasteland. Long Fei Yun paused for a moment before he asked, Brother Duan, you should know about the Grand Contest of the Wasteland, right? Long Fei Yun finally remembered. Duan Lingtian might not know about the Grand Contest of the Wasteland. Yes. Duan Lingtian nodded. The Grand Contest of the Wasteland is jointly held by the three major celestial sects of the Wasteland. All the young powerhouses under the age of 100 from the celestial kingdoms around the Wasteland will be invited to join the three major celestial sects of the Wasteland. Duan Lingtian had learned about the Grand Contest of the Wasteland when he first arrived at the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. He was also interested in the Grand Contest of the Wasteland. After all, joining the three major celestial sects of the Wasteland meant that he could use the three major celestial sects of the Wasteland as a springboard to leave the Wasteland. The three major celestial sects of the Wasteland were the strongest forces in the Wasteland. Exactly. Long Fei Yun nodded. Since this person knew about the Wasteland Grand Competition, there was no need for him to explain any further. 13th Prince, you don't just want me to participate in the Wasteland Great Competition, right? Apart from that, you should have other goals, right? Duan Lingtian asked, taking a deep look at Long Fei Yun. Long Fei Yun's eyes flashed brightly when he heard Duan Lingtian's question. He nodded and said, with Brother Duan's strength, not only would it be easy for you to obtain a spot for the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom to participate in the Wasteland Grand Contest, but it would also be easy for you to perform outstandingly in the Wasteland Grand Contest. At that time, the three major celestial sects would definitely want you to join them. As for me, I hope you'll join the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect. Long Fei Yun's breathing quickened as he spoke. Martial Dragon Celestial Sect? Duan Lingtian raised an eyebrow. There must be a reason why the 13th prince wants me to join the martial dragon celestial sect, right?
Yes.
Long Fei Yun nodded. I want you to join the martial dragon celestial sect because the martial dragon celestial sect is in charge of 13 high-rank celestial kingdoms, including the soaring dragon celestial kingdom. Before Long Fei Yun could finish speaking, Duan Lingtian interrupted him. What? The soaring dragon celestial kingdom is under the control of the martial dragon celestial sect? Apart from that, there are 12 high-rank celestial kingdoms under the soaring dragon celestial kingdom's rule? Duan Lingtian was shocked. He did not know about the relationship between the soaring dragon celestial kingdom and the martial dragon celestial sect. Brother Duan, it's normal that you don't know about this. After all, this is something only the direct descendants of the various celestial kingdoms know about. Moreover, if news of this spread, the various celestial kingdoms' imperial clans would lose a lot of face. That's why the direct descendants of the various celestial kingdoms are unwilling to spread this news. It's not just the high-rank celestial kingdoms. Even the intermediate-rank celestial kingdoms and the low-rank celestial kingdoms are under the three major celestial sects of the wasteland. Apart from the martial dragon celestial sect, the Tai Yi celestial sect and the Thousand Spiders celestial sect are also in charge of 13 high-rank celestial kingdoms. The intermediate-rank and low-rank celestial kingdoms are also under the protection of the three major celestial sects. Otherwise, why do you think the high-rank celestial kingdoms don't rely on their strength to conquer the intermediate-rank and low-rank celestial kingdoms? This is because the high-rank celestial kingdoms and the intermediate-rank and low-rank celestial kingdoms belong to the three major celestial sects. If there's any internal strife, the party that starts it will be severely punished by the celestial sects. After listening to Long Fei Yun's explanation, Duan Lingtian learned a lot about the martial dragon celestial sects and the martial dragon celestial sects. It also answered many of the questions in Duan Lingtian's mind. In fact, he did not understand why intermediate-rank and low-rank celestial kingdoms could coexist with high-rank celestial kingdoms. Previously, he had put himself in their shoes. If he was the emperor of a high-rank celestial kingdom, he would definitely conquer the intermediate-rank and low-rank celestial kingdoms to strengthen his own high-rank celestial kingdom. Now, he finally understood that it was not that the emperors of high-rank celestial kingdoms did not want to conquer the intermediate-rank and low-rank celestial kingdoms, but they could not. I see. Duan Lingtian finally understood. Long Fei Yun's eyes flashed brightly as he continued to say, Brother Duan, I asked you to join the martial dragon celestial sect because I hope you'll be able to help me become the emperor of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom after you grow stronger in the martial dragon celestial sect. As soon as Long Fei Yun finished speaking, he looked at Duan Lingtian with a burning gaze. Even if I join the martial dragon celestial sect, do you think I'll be able to help you become the emperor of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom? Duan Lingtian asked. There's always a glimmer of hope, right? Long Fei Yun said with a self-deprecating smile. He knew his current situation very well. It was almost impossible for him to compete with his fourth and seventh brothers to become the next emperor of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom through normal means. After all, his father would not allow him to become the next emperor of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom, unless his father was gone. However, it was easier said than done to make his father not be around. Put aside the fact that his father was the emperor of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom and was surrounded by many powerhouses. His father was also a powerful heaven-rank, overarching, heavenly supreme celestial. Is it worth it to give up an earth-grade cultivation method just for a glimmer of hope? Duan Lingtian asked again. Of course, it's worth it. Long Fei Yun said, to be honest, I don't lose anything by teaching you the earth-grade cultivation method. However, it's a glimmer of hope for me to become the next emperor of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom. In other words, I've profited from this deal. Although it's a fair trade, I know it might not work out. I only hope that Brother Duan can promise me that you'll help me become the next emperor of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom when you're capable of interfering with the succession of the emperor of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom. Long Fei Yun's words were clear. If Duan Lingtian did not have the ability to help him become the next emperor of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom after joining the martial dragon celestial sect, he would accept it. However, if Duan Lingtian was capable of helping him, he hoped Duan Lingtian would do his best to help him become the next emperor of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. If I'm not mistaken, Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes and smiled faintly. With my innate talent, it shouldn't be difficult for me to cultivate an Earth-grade cultivation method after joining the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect, right? The conditions for cultivating an Earth-grade cultivation method in the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect shouldn't be as harsh as the Imperial family of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, right?
Yes.
Long Fei Yun nodded. When the middle-aged man standing behind Long Fei Yun heard Duan Lingtian's words, he instantly looked at Duan Lingtian. His gaze was as sharp as a knife, as though he would kill Duan Lingtian if Duan Lingtian dared to refuse Long Fei Yun. If that's the case, why should I agree to this deal? Duan Lingtian asked again, completely ignoring the middle-aged man standing behind Long Fei Yun. Apart from the Earth-grade cultivation method, I can also give you a pill formula. Long Fei Yun's expression remained unchanged when he heard Duan Lingtian's repeated questions. Pill formula? What pill formula? Duan Lingtian raised an eyebrow. He was not interested in ordinary pill formulas. The pill formula I'm referring to is the formula for the overarching heaven pill. Long Fei Yun said calmly. Boom. As soon as Long Fei Yun finished speaking, Duan Lingtian felt as though he had been struck by a bolt of lightning. He stood rooted to the ground in a daze. The formula for the overarching heaven pill? This, as far as he knew, the overarching heaven pill was extremely rare. Let alone high-rank celestial kingdoms, even among the three major celestial sects of the wasteland, the overarching heaven pill was extremely rare. Even the overarching heaven pill in the three major celestial sects of the wasteland was refined by celestial alchemists outside of the wasteland. Due to the rarity of the overarching heaven pill formula, none of the celestial alchemists in the wasteland had mastered the formula for the overarching heaven pill. You have the formula for the overarching heaven pill? Duan Lingtian's breathing quickened when he looked at Long Fei Yun again. The overarching heaven pill was a pill for overarching heavenly supreme celestials. A peak great overarching golden celestial would be able to break through and become an overarching heavenly supreme celestial after consuming it. On the other hand, an overarching heavenly supreme celestial would be able to improve their cultivation base rapidly after consuming it. The significance of the overarching heaven pill to a peak great overarching golden celestial was similar to the significance of the great overarching pill to a violet sun golden celestial. The significance of the overarching heaven pill to an overarching heavenly supreme celestial was similar to the significance of the great overarching pill to a great overarching golden celestial. Apart from that, although the overarching heaven pill was similar to the great overarching pill, it was a prominent celestial pill. The great overarching pill was one of the best mediocre celestial pills. Only a few mediocre celestial alchemists who possessed a celestial fire could refine it. Chapter 2734. In terms of difficulty, the great overarching pill was similar to the overarching heaven pill. However, since the overarching heaven pill was a prominent celestial pill, only prominent celestial alchemists could refine it. Moreover, there were fewer prominent celestial alchemists than mediocre celestial alchemists. Moreover, the formula of the overarching heaven pill was not as popular as the formula of the great overarching pill. Therefore, the value of the overarching heaven pill far exceeded that of the great overarching pill. Even an intermediate-rank celestial kingdom would be able to afford some great overarching pills. For example, King Qin's mansion in the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom, where Duan Lingtian was from, would give out 6 great overarching pills as a reward for the top 3 contenders during the martial competition of the 16 counties. Even the imperial family of a high-rank celestial kingdom would not be able to afford the overarching heaven pill. In the wasteland, only the 3 major celestial sects that ruled high-rank celestial kingdoms would be able to afford the overarching heaven pill. However, the number of overarching heaven pills was extremely small. It was almost impossible for one to obtain the overarching heaven pill unless the 3 major celestial sects placed great emphasis on nurturing them. The reason the overarching heaven pill was so rare and valuable was not only because it required a prominent celestial alchemist to refine it, but also because the formula of the overarching heaven pill was only in the hands of a few prominent celestial alchemists. Moreover, these prominent celestial alchemists would not easily divulge the formula of the overarching heaven pill to outsiders. For this reason, Duan Lingtian was shocked when he heard Long Fei Yun was willing to give him the formula of the overarching heaven pill. After all, the formula of the overarching heaven pill was too precious. Even the three major celestial sects of the wasteland would do anything to obtain the formula of the overarching heaven pill. You have the formula of the overarching heaven pill? Long Fei Yun nodded in response to Duan Lingtian's question. Long Fei Yun nodded.
Yes.
After receiving Long Fei Yun's confirmation, Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes and said indifferently, "Since you have the formula of the overarching heaven pill, why do you need to make a deal with me? You can directly look for someone in the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect to help you become the Emperor of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom." Long Fei, of course. Long Fei Yun sighed. However, do you think I'll still be alive if I reveal the overarching heaven pill's formula to the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect? To them, helping me ascend to the throne is more troublesome than killing me. Duan Lingtian shook his head. With this in mind, Long Fei Yun dismissed the idea of seeking help from the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect. In the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect, those who had the ability to help him become the Emperor of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom were all high-ranking officials in the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect. Without exception, these high-ranking officials were extremely powerful. He was only an ant before such an existence, and he didn't have the qualifications to make a deal with it at all. After listening to Long Fei Yun's words, Duan Lingtian thought about it and agreed. 13th Prince, why do you trust me so much? Aren't you afraid that I won't help you after I get the Earth-grade cultivation method and the overarching heaven pill formula? Duan Lingtian looked deeply at Long Fei Yun and asked. You won't. Long Fei Yun looked at Duan Lingtian and shook his head. Although this is my first time meeting you, I can tell you're not that kind of person. I, Long Fei Yun, have lived for a few hundred years, and I'm pretty good at judging people. Of course, even if I'm wrong, I'll accept it. Long Fei Yun said, it's still better than losing my life. He had given the overarching heaven pill formula to the purple-clad young man in exchange for a promise that the purple-clad young man might not be able to fulfill. It was better than exposing the overarching heaven pill formula to the powerhouses of the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect. Not only would the overarching heaven pill formula be snatched away, but his life would also be in danger. Although Long Fei Yun had not known the purple-clad young man for long, he could tell the purple-clad young man was not a person of character. The purple-clad young man did not seem like a person who would go back on his word. The purple-clad young man's eyes were clear, and he had a righteous expression on his face. Based on the aura he exuded, it was clear he was not a despicable person. 13th Prince, you're really bold. Duan Lingtian could not help but praise Long Fei Yun. When he looked at Long Fei Yun again, a hint of admiration could be seen in his eyes. After all, not everyone was as bold as Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian could understand why Duan Lingtian was so bold. He wondered how Duan Lingtian was able to reach where he was today without any backing. He was even able to stand shoulder to shoulder with the 4th Prince and the 7th Prince. The 4th Prince and the 7th Prince might not be as bold as Duan Lingtian. After all, neither Qiu Ling nor I have the ability to inscribe and duplicate the memory celestial talisman that contains the formula of the overarching heaven pill. As Long Fei Yun spoke, another memory celestial talisman appeared in his hand. It was none other than the memory celestial talisman that contained the overarching heaven pill formula. Duan Lingtian's eyes immediately shifted to the memory celestial talisman in Long Fei Yun's hand. The overarching heaven pill formula is recorded in this talisman. As a celestial alchemist, although Duan Lingtian was only a primitive celestial alchemist, it did not affect his desire to obtain the overarching heaven pill formula in Long Fei Yun's hand. After all, it was a rare pill formula that even prominent celestial alchemists dreamed of obtaining. For this reason, Duan Lingtian's breathing quickened at this moment. He was not surprised that Long Fei Yun and the heaven-rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial behind him were not capable of inscribing and copying the overarching heaven pill formula. After all, one had to master the formula and be able to refine the overarching heaven pill. Only a celestial alchemist who was capable of refining a certain pill would be able to inscribe and copy the memory celestial talisman that contained the formula. If one could not refine the formula, how could one possibly inscribe and copy the formula?
Yes.
Long Fei Yun nodded. At the same time, another memory celestial talisman appeared beside the memory celestial talisman in his hand. This memory celestial talisman contains my earth-grade cultivation method, the heavenly vast firmament technique. As long as you use it, the heavenly vast firmament technique will become a part of your memory. Compared to inscribing and copying the formula of the overarching heaven pill, inscribing and copying the cultivation method was much easier. As long as one mastered the cultivation method, one would be able to inscribe and copy it. I wonder if you're willing to make a promise to me, Brother Duan? Long Fei Yun asked again about the deal he was going to make with Duan Lingtian. 13th Prince, since you're so sincere and trust in me, do I have any reason to refuse? Duan Lingtian smiled wryly. Indeed, he could obtain an earth-grade cultivation method after joining one of the 3 major celestial sects of the wasteland. However, it would take some time before he could obtain it. After all, the imperial family of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom would only start selecting young powerhouses below the age of 100 to participate in the grand contest of the wasteland a year later. If it was only an earth-grade cultivation method, Duan Lingtian would have to think twice before accepting Long Fei Yun's offer. However, now that Long Fei Yun had taken out the formula of the overarching heaven pill, Duan Lingtian agreed to the deal without hesitation. Brother Duan, you're a straightforward person. Long Fei Yun, who had a tense expression on his face, laughed heartily when he saw Duan Lingtian had agreed to the deal. At the same time, he passed the 2 memory celestial talismans to Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian immediately used the 2 memory celestial talismans so that the formula of the overarching heaven pill and the earth-grade cultivation method, the heavenly vast firmament technique, would become part of his memory. As long as he spent some time and thought about it, he would be able to grasp it. Brother Duan, you used the memory celestial talisman on the overarching heaven pill's formula? Don't tell me you're a prominent celestial alchemist as well? Long Fei Yun asked in disbelief when he saw Duan Lingtian's actions. He thought Duan Lingtian would keep the memory celestial talisman that contained the overarching heaven pill's formula for future use. He did not expect Duan Lingtian would use the memory celestial talisman on the overarching heaven pill. After Duan Lingtian used the memory celestial talisman, unless he was a prominent celestial alchemist who could refine the overarching heaven pill, he would not be able to replicate the pill formula of the overarching heaven pill. I'm a celestial alchemist, but I'm not a prominent celestial alchemist. Duan Lingtian shook his head. It seems like you're very confident that you'll become a prominent celestial alchemist in the future. Otherwise, you wouldn't have used the memory celestial talisman on the overarching heaven pill's formula. Long Fei Yun, who had thought Duan Lingtian was a prominent celestial alchemist, was greatly disappointed when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. After all, if Duan Lingtian was a prominent celestial alchemist, he would not even need to participate in the Wasteland Grand Contest to join the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect and become unrevered elder of the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect. At that time, Duan Lingtian would only need to say a word to the sect leader of the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect to help him become the emperor of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. At that time, even if his father was unwilling, he would have no choice but to watch Duan Lingtian replace Duan Lingtian. Long Fei Yun was delighted when he thought about it. He was extremely disappointed when he found out Duan Lingtian was not a prominent celestial alchemist. Brother Duan. All of a sudden, Long Fei Yun seemed to have recalled something. His expression turned solemn as he said, "From today onwards, you'll be leaving the inn. Bring your people and follow me back to the Imperial Palace. You'll stay in my temporary residence." Duan Lingtian did not expect Long Fei Yun would suddenly bring this up. He was confused. He was not worried Long Fei Yun would harm him. If he had not used the memory celestial talisman that contained the overarching heaven pill's formula, Long Fei Yun might have harmed him. However, now that he had used the memory celestial talisman, Long Fei Yun would definitely not harm him. After all, if Long Fei Yun did that, it would be equivalent to him giving up the overarching Heaven Pills formula for nothing. There's no need to worry about the fourth miss of the Zhou clan. Even my fourth brother won't cause trouble for you. Long Fei Yun said solemnly when he saw Duan Lingtian's confusion. However, there's another person behind the fourth miss of the Zhou clan. That person is the last disciple of the former sect leader of the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect. She's also the junior sister of the current sect leader, Zhou Shuqiu. Chapter 2735. I've heard of her. Upon hearing Long Fei Yun's words, Duan Lingtian said, she's the third miss of the Zhou clan. She's the elder sister of the fourth miss of the Zhou clan, Zhou Shudong. However, didn't she leave with her master a few years ago? A few days ago, he had heard about Zhou Shuqiu in various restaurants in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. He knew she was the most talented person in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom in the past 1,000 years. She was taken in by the sect leader of the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect when she was young. When she was slightly over 100 years old, her cultivation base was already a great overarching golden celestial. Currently, she was already an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. Moreover, she was not an ordinary overarching heavenly supreme celestial. Her master, the sect leader of the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect, had retired. Her senior sister had taken over as the sect leader of the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect. When Duan Lingtian first heard about Zhou Shuqiu, he was slightly afraid of her. However, when he heard she had left with her master a few years ago, he did not pay much attention to her. After all, he might have left the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom in the wasteland by the time Zhou Shuqiu returned. Long Fei Yun continued to say, indeed, she left before this. However, she returned last month. As far as I know, it's because of the grand contest of the wasteland that's going to be held a year later. There might be some secrets behind the grand contest of the wasteland that only the three major celestial sects of the wasteland knows about. This isn't the first time the three major celestial sects of the wasteland have organized the grand contest of the wasteland. However, there's never been a requirement for young powerhouses under the age of 100 to participate. I have a feeling the grand contest of the wasteland this time isn't as simple as it seems. Long Fei Yun finished speaking. There was no age restriction in the grand contest of the wasteland in the past? Duan Lingtian raised an eyebrow. There wasn't. Long Fei Yun shook his head. In the past, as long as you're strong enough, you can participate regardless of your age. As long as you perform well, you'll be able to join the three major celestial sects of the wasteland. For this reason, some of the outer disciples in the three major celestial sects of the wasteland are thousands of years old or even close to 10,000 years old. Of course, if an ordinary outer disciple has not passed the test of the three major celestial sects of the wasteland and becomes an official disciple, they will be expelled from the three major celestial sects of the wasteland. Long Fei Yun continued. Duan Lingtian nodded and returned to the topic at hand. Since Zhou Shuqiu has returned, my friend and I will visit your palace. Zhou Shuqiu was different from the fourth prince, Long Xiangyun, whom Zhou Shudong had asked for help. Zhou Shuqiu was the direct disciple of the former sect leader of the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect. She was the junior sister of the current sect leader of the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect. At that time, Duan Lingtian and Huan would be in danger. On the other hand, if Duan Lingtian and Huan went to the 13th prince's palace, there was still a certain amount of risk. He was certain the 13th prince would protect him. Moreover, the 13th prince was confident the 13th prince would be able to protect him. Duan Lingtian could understand the 13th prince's confidence. Although he had offended Zhou Shudong, the fourth miss of the Zhou clan, he did not kill or cripple her. He had only killed an elder from the Zhou clan. Therefore, the 13th prince would definitely be able to protect him. Duan Lingtian did not tell the 13th prince that Huan was his junior sister. He only told the 13th prince that Huan was his friend. After all, the 13th prince knew everything he had said to the 4th prince was a lie. He knew he was not a disciple of a powerful sect outside the wasteland. It's all right. Brother Duan, you can stay with your friend at my place for the next year. Long Feiyun smiled. There's no need for me to stay here. I'll follow you to pick up your friend. Long Feiyun said to Duan Lingtian as he rose to his feet. All right. Duan Lingtian nodded and stood up as well. Then, he and Long Feiyun left the first earth room in the Nyin clan's auction house. The middle-aged man named Ling followed the two of them out of the first earth room. 13th brother, the auction isn't over yet. Why are you in such a hurry to leave? As soon as the three of them left the first earth room and were about to leave the Nyin clan's auction house, a burst of hearty laughter rang in their ears. Following that, Duan Lingtian saw a young man dressed in a green robe. A tall young man in a golden-green robe was escorted by the person in charge of the Nyin family's auction house and an old man in a black robe. He greeted Long Feiyun with a smile. When Duan Lingtian heard how the green-clad young man addressed Long Feiyun, he guessed the young man's identity. The young man was none other than the seventh prince, Long Qingyun. Seventh brother. Duan Lingtian's guess was confirmed by Long Feiyun's greeting. Brother Duan, if I'm not mistaken, my seventh brother is here for me. To be more precise, he's here for Ling. Long Feiyun's voice transmission entered Duan Lingtian's ears. The person in charge of the Nyin clan's auction house must have noticed that Ling is a heaven-rank, overarching, heavenly supreme celestial. It's not a good thing for my seventh brother to have a heaven-rank, overarching, heavenly supreme celestial by my side. A hint of mockery could be heard in Long Feiyun's voice. Brother, I heard about you from my seventh brother. I wanted to visit you at the Fleeting Time Inn, but I didn't expect to bump into you here. At this moment, Long Qingyun, the seventh prince, had already arrived in front of Duan Lingtian and Long Feiyun. He greeted Duan Lingtian enthusiastically. After all, in his opinion, Duan Lingtian was an extremely talented person. After all, Duan Lingtian was a disciple from a powerful sect outside the wasteland. It was almost impossible to recruit such a person, but he could not afford to offend him either. Naturally, Long Qingyun was only being polite when he said he wanted to visit Duan Lingtian. If he really wanted to visit him, he would have done so long ago. He did not want to be like his fourth brother, who had given him the cold shoulder. It was best not to provoke such a person. Seventh prince. Duan Lingtian greeted Long Feiyun indifferently. This made Long Qingyun even more certain that Duan Lingtian was from a powerful sect. Duan Lingtian was a proud and arrogant disciple from a powerful sect outside the wasteland. 13th brother, this is the first time I've seen this person behind you. Long Qingyun nodded at Duan Lingtian before he shifted his gaze to Long Feiyun. Then, he looked at Ling, who was standing behind Long Feiyun, and asked meaningfully, this isn't the earth-rank, overarching, heavenly, supreme celestial our father gave you, right? A hint of mockery could be heard in Long Qingyun's voice as he spoke. Long Feiyun and the fourth prince were protected by heaven-rank, overarching, heavenly, supreme celestials their father had given them. Although the 13th prince was not inferior to them in any way, he was not treated as well. Like the other princes, he was only protected by an earth-rank, overarching, heavenly, supreme celestial. His name is Ling, and he's a powerhouse I recruited from outside. Long Feiyun replied. As soon as Long Feiyun finished speaking, Long Qingyun's gaze turned cold as he looked at Ling. Then, he said, you're an outsider with an unknown origin. Why are you hiding by my 13th brother's side? 13th prince, this person has an unknown origin. I'm afraid it'll be detrimental to you if he continues to stay by your side. At the same time, the black-robed old man behind Long Qingyun suddenly opened his eyes and looked at Ling, who was behind Long Feiyun. Then, he shot toward Ling like a bolt of lightning. Let me kill this person to share your burden, 13th prince. The black-clad old man said coldly as he made his move toward Ling. Boom, 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 boom. Before Duan Lingtian could regain his senses, the black-robed old man and Ling had already exchanged blows. A series of loud bangs that sounded like the beating of drums were clearly heard by Duan Lingtian and the rest. However, the two of them were very restrained as they fought. They worked together to create a light barrier that separated them from the outside world. Boom! Rumble! When Duan Lingtian and the others came back to their senses and looked over, they saw that there was no one there. Not far from them, the black-robed old man was engaged in an intense battle with Chiu Ling. With their eyesight, they couldn't see the two's movements clearly. They could only see two different forces wreaking havoc in a seemingly isolated space. About 15 minutes later, bang! A loud, muffled sound rang out. Following that, Duan Lingtian and the others could also see at this moment, cracks began to appear on the light screen that separated this space like glass. The cracks intertwined like a spider web. In the end, the light screen shattered. Swoosh! At the same time, the sound of a gust of wind rang in their ears. Chiu Ling, who looked slightly wretched, had returned to Long Fei Yun's side. Swoosh! Meanwhile, a black figure was sent flying before he fell to the ground with a loud thud. Although he quickly stood up, he looked even more wretched than before. The black-robed old man stood up and returned to Long Qing Yun's side with an unsightly expression on his face. Long Qing Yun's expression was unsightly as well. He did not expect this. The heaven-rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial that his 13th brother had found was much stronger than the heaven-rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial that his father had given him. Elder Wu, with Chiu Ling's strength, if he wanted to harm me, he would have done it a long time ago. He has been following me for a year. So, you don't have to worry about my safety. Long Fei Yun said with a smile as he looked at the black-robed old man standing behind Long Qing Yun. Humph! The black-robed old man scoffed. He did not dare to make a move. Although the emperor disliked the 13th prince, he was not someone the black-robed old man could touch. Moreover, even if he could, he might not be able to do anything to the 13th prince. After all, the 13th prince had a heaven-rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial who was stronger than him. Chapter 2736. Brother Duan, let's go. Long Fei Yun said with a smile as he shifted his gaze from Long Qing Yun and the black-clad old man behind him to Duan Lingtian. All right. Duan Lingtian nodded and left the Nyin clan's auction house with Long Fei Yun. After they left, Long Qing Yun's expression darkened. He looked at the person in charge of the Nyin clan's auction house and asked in a deep voice, "What's going on? Why does it feel like my 13th brother is very close to that purple-clad young man?" In Long Qing Yun's opinion, the purple-clad young man with a powerful background would not associate himself with princes of the celestial nation like him and his 13th brother. However, based on the situation earlier, his 13th brother seemed to be very close to him. His 13th brother seemed to be very close to the purple-clad young man. At this moment, he felt a sense of crisis. A sect outside the wasteland would not be able to interfere with the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom succession. After all, there was the Martial Dragon Celestial sect. However, who knew if the Martial Dragon Celestial sect was stronger than the Martial Dragon Celestial sect? If the purple-clad young man had an extraordinary status in the sect, the Martial Dragon Celestial sect could pressure the Martial Dragon Celestial sect to seize the throne of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Long Fei Yun did not want that to happen. Your Highness, I don't know what's going on. The person in charge of the auction house said innocently. The person in charge of the Nyin family's auction house looked confused and innocent. However, I think the 13th prince is here today because of that purple-clad young man. Humph. Do I need you to remind me of that? Long Qing Yun glanced at the person in charge of the Nyin clan's auction house coldly before he looked in the direction of the auction house's entrance. He muttered to himself, that person even told 13th brother his name. It seems like they're getting along well. As far as I know, that person didn't tell 4th brother his name even when 4th brother asked for it. Perhaps I should talk to 4th brother about this. Long Qing Yun and the black-clad old man left the Nyin clan's auction house and returned to the imperial palace to look for the 4th prince. Duan Lingtian and his companions had also returned to the Fleeting Time Inn. Brother Duan, we'll wait for you and your friends here. Long Fei Yun said to Duan Lingtian in the lobby of Fleeting Time Inn. He did not intend to return to the guest room with Duan Lingtian. After all, Duan Lingtian's friend was a woman. It would be inconvenient for him to go there rashly, and this was exactly what Duan Lingtian wanted. After all, Huan was currently cultivating. If Long Fei Yun followed him back to the guest room, Chiu Ling, the heaven-rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial, would definitely tag along. With Qiuling's cultivation base, he would definitely sense the abnormality of the heaven and earth spirit energy in Huan Er's room. That was something Duan Lingtian did not want to see. After all, it was a divine crystal that would only appear once every 1,000 years in a Devata realm. If the divine crystal was exposed, her life would be in danger. Huan Er. Since Huan Er was not in closed-door cultivation, Duan Lingtian only needed to call out to her through voice transmission to wake her up. After Huan Er put away the divine crystal and absorbed most of the liquid heaven and earth spirit energy in the room, Duan Lingtian carefully opened the door and entered the room. Since the divine crystal was involved, he had to be careful. Brother Lingtian, did you say you're going to bring Huan Er away from here? Did that woman send someone to cause trouble for us? As she spoke, a cold glint flashed in her eyes. Her thin white clothes fluttered in the wind. Her slender and graceful figure was faintly discernible in front of Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian could not help but gasp. Only then did he manage to suppress the heat that involuntarily rose in his lower abdomen. No, we're just going somewhere else. It's much more comfortable than here. Duan Lingtian shook his head. Is it more fun? The cold glint in Huan Er's eyes receded and was replaced by excitement. Yes, it's more fun. Duan Lingtian nodded. However, before we leave, you have to put on a veil and a hat. All right, I understand. Huan Er reluctantly interrupted Duan Lingtian. However, she still obediently followed Duan Lingtian's instructions and put on the veil and hat to conceal her beautiful face. Although she was beautiful, her figure was still attractive enough to attract men. When Duan Lingtian and Huan Er appeared before Long Fei Yun, although he could not see Huan Er's face, he was still stunned by her beautiful figure. As the 13th prince of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom, he had seen many beautiful women in his life. However, this was his first time seeing one with such a perfect figure. However, it only lasted for a moment before he retracted his gaze. Although he did not know the relationship between the white-clad woman and the purple-clad young man, based on the way the white-clad woman addressed the purple-clad young man, it was clear they had a close relationship. For this reason, he did not dare to act rashly. Moreover, based on his knowledge, the woman was not weak at all. The white-clothed woman was not weak either. She had once killed an Earth Realm Golden Immortal Elder of the Zhou clan with a wave of her hand. Qiuling, Brother Duan said this woman is not even 100 years old. Out of curiosity, Long Fei Yun sent a voice transmission to Qiuling, asking him to examine the white-clad woman's aura to determine if she was really younger than 100 years old. Before Long Fei Yun could finish speaking, a cold snort rang in his ears. It was none other than Huan Er, who was standing next to Duan Lingtian. At the same time, a terrifying aura surged out of her body toward Qiuling, who was standing behind Long Fei Yun. Qiuling's expression turned grim as he hastily circulated his celestial origin energy to defend himself. She noticed my divine consciousness. She's indeed younger than 100 years old. Moreover, her cultivation base is at least a profound rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial. Qiuling's voice rang in Long Fei Yun's ears. As a heaven rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial, Qiuling had to deal with the cold aura from Huan Er's body because he was severely injured when he fought with Long Qing Yun's subordinates. Although he had recovered slightly, his strength was still greatly reduced. He was not even comparable to an earth rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial, a profound rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial who was not even 100 years old? Long Fei Yun was completely dumbfounded. How could such a person appear in the soaring dragon celestial kingdom? In the past 10,000 years, there had only been a handful of profound rank great overarching golden celestials who were younger than 100 years old, let alone profound rank overarching heavenly supreme celestials who were younger than 100 years old. There was only one earth rank great overarching golden celestial who was younger than 100 years old. In the known history of the wasteland, there had only been 2 Heaven Realm Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals under the age of 100. As for a peak great overarching golden immortal under the age of 100, there had never been one in the known history of the wasteland. let alone a peak great overarching golden immortal under the age of 100. But now, Qiu Ling was telling him the white-clad woman standing before him was a profound overarching, heavenly supreme celestial who was not even 100 years old? What's wrong? Duan Lingtian asked in confusion. Big brother Lingtian, this person is so rude. He actually used his divine sense to probe me. Huan, said angrily as she glared at Qiu Ling. When Duan Lingtian heard this, he could not help but frown, and his face darkened. Qiu Ling, why you're not joking, right? Long Feiyun was so shocked by Qiu Ling's voice transmission that he didn't notice the exchange between Duan Lingtian and Duan Lingtian. He also didn't notice Duan Lingtian's darkening expression. No. Long Feiyun's heart skipped a beat when he heard Qiu Ling's confirmation. When Long Feiyun saw Duan Lingtian's darkened expression and noticed Huan Er's anger, he quickly apologized to Qiu Ling as well. Only then did Huan Er's anger dissipate. At the same time, Duan Lingtian's expression also improved. Brother Duan, are you sure it's okay for you to join the martial dragon celestial sect? Long Feiyun asked Duan Lingtian through voice transmission as they left the fleeting time inn and returned to the imperial palace. Based on Duan Lingtian's explanation of the profound grade and earth grade cultivation methods at the Nian clan's auction house, Long Feiyun did not think Duan Lingtian had a powerful background. What a joke. Why would a person with a powerful background be interested in those cultivation methods? However, Long Feiyun learned from Qiu Ling that the white-clad woman was a beautiful woman. As it turned out, the white-clad woman next to Duan Lingtian was a profound rank overarching, heavenly supreme celestial who was not even 100 years old. Long Feiyun could not help but wonder if Duan Lingtian and the white-clad woman had a powerful background. If they did not have a powerful background, how could they become a profound rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial before the age of 100? This was simply a fantasy story. Why do you ask? Duan Lingtian asked. Brother Duan, to tell you the truth, Qiu Ling told me that the woman next to you is at least a profound rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial even though she's not even 100 years old. Even if you say you don't have a powerful background, I wouldn't believe you. Long Feiyun smiled wryly. You're talking about Huan Er. Her background is a little complicated, so it's not convenient for me to tell you. However, it's true that I don't have a powerful background. I can join the martial dragon celestial sect. Duan Lingtian said, as for Huan Er, I can't promise you anything. It's up to her. No. I have no intention of letting Miss Huan Er join the martial dragon celestial sect. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Long Feiyun hurriedly shook his head and said, in fact, if it's possible, I hope Miss Huan Er doesn't reveal her true age. A profound rank overarching, heavenly supreme celestial, who's not even 100 years old. If news of this spreads, it'll cause an uproar in the wasteland. It'll only bring more harm than good to Miss Huan Er. Long Feiyun's expression turned solemn as he continued to say, I'm just worried that someone might think Miss Huan Er has an extraordinary background and possess a high-grade celestial method or divine ability. That person might be tempted to harm her. Chapter 2737. 13th Prince. Have you ever been greedy? Upon hearing Long Feiyun's words, Duan Lingtian looked at Long Feiyun meaningfully. To tell you the truth, I was indeed greedy. Long Feiyun did not beat around the bush. When Duan Lingtian looked at him coldly, Long Feiyun smiled wryly and said, however, when I thought about the overarching heaven pill formula and the fact that I might not be able to obtain the divine abilities and celestial methods, even if I asked Qiu Ling to capture Miss Huan Er, I gave up on the thought. Instead of taking the risk, I'd rather take the safe route. Long Feiyun said frankly. Upon hearing this, Duan Lingtian's expression softened. He looked at Long Feiyun meaningfully and said, You're a smart person, 13th Prince. I wouldn't have come this far if I wasn't smart. Long Feiyun sighed. Brother Duan. Long Feiyun suddenly recalled something. He looked at Duan Lingtian and said, I have a friend who possesses a celestial weapon that can conceal one's aura. I'll try my best to ask him to give it to Miss Huan Er after I settle all of you in the palace. Is there such a celestial weapon? Duan Lingtian was surprised. Yes. Long Fei Yun nodded. It's just rare. Apart from that, the reason it's considered a celestial weapon is because of its ability to conceal one's aura. That immortal artifact itself doesn't possess any offensive or defensive power. For this reason, it's considered useless even among celestial weapons. That friend of mine also likes to collect all kinds of strange things. That's why he has that immortal item. Long Fei Yun said. 13th Prince. Duan Lingtian's expression turned solemn as he said, although I don't like to ask people to part with their treasures, if your friend really has that celestial weapon, I'd still like to ask him to give it to Huan Er. Why don't you ask him for a price? Duan Lingtian planned to buy the celestial weapon with celestial stones. After all, the celestial artifact was too important to her. Just as Long Fei Yun had said, if anyone could sense the aura of Huan Er's flesh and blood when she was younger than 100 years old, coupled with the strength she had displayed, they would definitely think she had an extraordinary background. Then, they would covet the celestial methods, divine abilities, and cultivation methods she had mastered. At that time, Huan Er would be in danger. That was not something he wanted to see. Brother Duan, that friend of mine doesn't lack celestial stones. Moreover, to be honest, I'm not sure if I'll be able to obtain the celestial artifact. When Long Fei Yun saw that Duan Lingtian was interested, he could not help but smile wryly. At the same time, he gave Duan Lingtian a heads up. If that's the case, I'll have to trouble you. Upon hearing Long Fei Yun's words, Duan Lingtian finally remembered that when Long Fei Yun mentioned asking for the celestial weapon, he had indeed said, try your best. This meant that he was not 100% certain that he would be able to obtain the celestial weapon. It's no trouble at all. Long Fei Yun shook his head. Long Fei Yun shook his head and continued to lead the way. After a while, he brought Duan Lingtian and Huan Er back to his residence. After settling Duan Lingtian and Huan Er down, Long Fei Yun left with Zhou Ling. As the 13th prince of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, Long Fei Yun's residence was huge even though he was not favored by the emperor. Even the courtyard that he had arranged for Duan Lingtian and Huan Er was several times larger than the rooms in Fleeting Time Inn. Brother Ling Tian, since that person's item is useful to me, I'll just snatch it from him, Huan Er said to Duan Lingtian in the room. Although Duan Lingtian had been trying to lead Huan Er, who was as pure as a blank sheet of paper, to the right and wrong, she still needed time to adapt. Huan Er, Duan Lingtian shook his head. I've told you before that it's wrong to snatch something from someone for no reason. Moreover, you need to be strong enough to do so. Someone who's close to the 13th prince, and whom the 13th prince isn't sure if he'll be able to obtain the item from, has to have a powerful background. Even if he's not as strong as you, he might have someone stronger than you by his side. Duan Lingtian said. Huan Er fell silent and pouted. She looked so pitiful that Duan Lingtian's heart melted. Huan Er, don't think too much about it. Brother Lingtian will do his best to help you obtain the celestial weapon, Duan Lingtian said. All right. Huan Er nodded obediently. Then, her eyes lit up as she asked, Brother Lingtian, when are we going to go out and play? I haven't had the chance to go out and play since I came here. I want to buy a lot of fun things and eat a lot of delicious food. In a few days. You can stay here and cultivate in peace for a few days. Duan Lingtian nodded. All right. Despite her reluctance, she nodded obediently. Duan Lingtian left the room when he saw Huan Er revealing the divine crystal on her necklace and preparing to cultivate. There were many formations set up around the room, so Duan Lingtian was not worried about the heaven and earth spirit energy leaking out of the room. Apart from that, this room was located in the backyard of his courtyard. It was quite far from the front yard where the entrance was located. Therefore, he was not worried that the heaven-rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial would notice the liquid heaven and earth spirit energy leaking out of the divine crystal. After leaving the room, Duan Lingtian waited in the front yard for news from the 13th prince. Brother Duan. About an hour later, Duan Lingtian saw Long Fei Yun, the 13th prince, with a bitter smile on his face. Duan Lingtian's heart sank when he saw Long Fei Yun. He's unwilling? Duan Lingtian could not help but ask. Although he had expected this, he could not help but ask. It's not that he's unwilling. He wants to see you, Brother Duan. Long Fei Yun smiled bitterly. He said he'll give you the mediocre celestial weapon, but he has a condition that he wants to discuss with you personally. I'm sorry, Brother Duan. After saying that, Long Fei Yun apologized again. Where is he? Duan Lingtian asked as he rose to his feet. Brother Duan, are you going to see him? Long Fei Yun was taken aback. Then, he smiled wryly and said, Brother Duan, my friend won't make a bad deal. I'm afraid his condition will be difficult for you. No matter how difficult it is, I still want to see your friend. The mediocre celestial weapon is very important to me. Duan Lingtian said in a deep voice as his eyes glinted. In that case, please follow me, Brother Duan. Under Long Fei Yun's lead, Duan Lingtian left the imperial palace and arrived at an independent mansion in the eastern part of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. The mansion was spacious, but it was deserted. There was not a single person in sight. Creak, creak. When Duan Lingtian and the other two arrived at the entrance of the mansion, the door opened on its own. Duan Lingtian was certain there was no one behind the door. This meant the door was opened by a powerful person from a distance. That person must have known they were here. However, he could not sense the person's divine consciousness. This meant the person had a profound cultivation base. Let's go. Long Fei Yun, on the other hand, was not surprised by this at all. After he greeted Duan Lingtian, he took the lead and walked into the mansion. When Duan Lingtian caught up to Long Fei Yun, he turned to look at Qiu Ling, the heaven-rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial. Qiu Ling had a solemn expression on his face when he entered the mansion. A hint of fear could be seen in his eyes. It was as if he was very afraid of the person who opened the door. It seems that the friend of the 13th prince is not simple. From Duan Lingtian's point of view, this was definitely the doing of an expert by Long Fei Yun's friend's side. It wasn't until he followed Long Fei Yun into the mansion and arrived at the backyard that he realized the person who attacked was not an expert by Long Fei Yun's friend's side, but Long Fei Yun's friend himself, because there was no one else in the entire mansion other than him. Brother Pei. After greeting his friend, Long Fei Yun began to introduce Duan Lingtian. This is the Brother Duan that I mentioned to you earlier. Duan Lingtian then began to seriously size up Long Fei Yun's friend. This was a young man in a white robe. His appearance was ordinary, but his eyes revealed endless vicissitudes of life. This was enough to show that he was not young. In addition, when the white-robed young man looked at him, he actually had a feeling that he had nowhere to hide. This was the first time he felt this way since he had arrived in the spirit overarching heaven. Even when he was in the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom's King Qin's mansion, he did not feel this way when the old woman, a celestial duke from the compassionate celestial traveler sect, looked at him. I heard from Fei Yun that you want my concealment pendant? The white-robed young man asked as he looked at Duan Lingtian. Although this was Duan Lingtian's first time hearing about the concealing pendant, it was not difficult for him to guess it was a celestial weapon that could conceal the aura of Huan Er's flesh and blood. It could conceal the fact that Huan Er was younger than 100 years old. Yes. Duan Lingtian nodded. I can give you the concealment pendant, but you have to promise me something, the white-robed young man said. What is it? Duan Lingtian asked. His heart skipped a beat when he heard the white-robed young man's words. The 13th prince had told him that the white-robed young man would not make a bad deal. Fei Yun, I have something to say to him in private. Before Long Fei Yun could react, the white-robed young man raised his hand and cast a soundproof formation around him and Duan Lingtian, separating Long Fei Yun and Qiu Ling. If you want the concealment pendant, you can exchange it for the divine crystal on that girl's pendant. Chapter 2738. Divine Crystal? Duan Lingtian thought the white-clad young man had set up a soundproof formation to tell him something else. He did not expect the white-clad young man would mention the divine crystal in the pendant on Huan Er's neck. How does he know there's a divine crystal in Huan Er's pendant? When Duan Lingtian looked at the white-robed young man again, apart from shock and disbelief, there was also a hint of killing intent in his eyes. It was a killing intent that rose in his subconscious. I can't let anyone who knows about Huan Er's divine crystal live in this world. This was the thought that arose in Duan Lingtian's mind. What? Are you trying to silence me? Although the killing intent in Duan Ling Tian's eyes quickly faded away, it was still clearly seen by the white-robed young man. The white-robed young man asked mockingly, "It's not that I'm looking down on you, but I don't think anyone in the wasteland has the ability to kill me, let alone you." When the white-robed young man said this, his calm eyes suddenly emitted an incomparably strong confidence. It was a confidence that made people have no choice but to believe in him. It was as though he was trying to show off his confidence. As soon as the white-clad young man finished speaking, a powerful aura surged out of his body. It was as though it had transformed into a gigantic hammer that slammed onto Duan Ling Tian's chest. A loud thud that only Duan Ling Tian could hear reverberated in the air. Bang! After a loud bang, Duan Ling Tian felt his chest sink. His internal organs seemed to be twisted together, and the vital energy and blood in his body were in a mess. He could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. When Duan Ling Tian felt his body become light as though he was about to fly away, a gentle energy appeared behind him and stopped him. It allowed him to stand on the spot, but the vital energy and blood in his body began to surge again. Barf! Duan Ling Tian threw up another mouthful of blood that stained the ground. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. However, Duan Ling Tian felt as though he had just walked through the gates of hell. "You, who are you?" When Duan Ling Tian looked at the white-robed youth again, there was only fear in his eyes. At this moment, Duan Ling Tian, who was observant, also discovered that at this moment, Duan Ling Tian's eyes lit up. The 13th prince, Long Fei Yun, who was blocked by the formation that the white-clad young man had casually set up, did not seem to notice it at all. Although he had been looking in Long Fei Yun's direction since the beginning, it seemed as though he did not see Long Fei Yun vomiting blood. Otherwise, it was impossible for Long Fei Yun to be so calm. This also made him realize the array that the young man in white had casually arranged just now was not as simple as a soundproof array. It was definitely able to confuse Long Fei Yun's vision. Besides that, the white-clothed young man had played with him in the palm of his hand by merely relying on his imposing aura, and the formidable strength that seemed capable of taking his life with a single thought caused him to be unable to help but feel a wave of terror. "It doesn't matter who I am." In response to Duan Lingtian's question, the white-clad young man calmly said, "The important thing is, do you still want my concealing pendant?" Duan Lingtian did not answer the white-clad young man's question directly. Instead, he asked solemnly, "With your strength, even if you want to snatch the divine crystal away, we won't be able to stop you. There's no need for you to exchange your concealing pendant, right?" Duan Lingtian did not know how strong the white-clad young man was. However, he was certain. He was certain the white-clad young man was stronger than Huan Er. In fact, he was certain the white-clad young man was stronger than the Celestial Duke from the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect. It would be easy for such a person to snatch Huan Er's divine crystal away. There was no need for him to exchange his concealing pendant. "I'm not interested in that girl's divine crystal." To Duan Lingtian's surprise, the white-clad young man merely shrugged and gave him an unexpected answer. Duan Lingtian was taken aback. "Then, I mentioned that girl's divine crystal just now because I wanted you to know my strength and my methods." The white-robed young man spoke indifferently and interrupted Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian heaved a sigh of relief when he heard the white-clad young man's words. At the same time, the doubt in his heart disappeared. He knew that with the white-clad young man's strength, if he really wanted the divine crystal, he would have done it a long time ago. There was no need for him to wait until now. But who exactly is he? He's not even interested in the divine crystals that only appear once every 1,000 years in each Devata realm. At this moment, the white-clad young man seemed even more mysterious in Duan Lingtian's eyes. Divine crystals were extremely precious. However, the white-clad young man before him said he was not interested in divine crystals. "Senior, then you," Duan Lingtian was about to ask what the white-clad young man wanted in exchange for the concealment pendant when the white-clad young man interrupted him. "Just call me Big Brother Pei like Fei Yun does." "Yes, Big Brother Pei," Duan Lingtian quickly replied before he continued to ask, "Big Brother Pei, the 13th prince told me earlier that you can give me the concealment pendant, but you have to discuss the conditions with me personally. Since you're not interested in the divine crystals, what are the conditions you're referring to? I want you to go to a place and retrieve something for me, the white-clad young man said. Duan Lingtian nodded. Duan Lingtian was puzzled when he heard the white-clad young man's words. Big brother Pei, with your strength, it shouldn't be difficult for you to retrieve something for me, right? That place is a little special. Those above the age of 100 can't enter. The white-clad young man replied. Those above the age of 100 can't enter? Duan Lingtian was stunned. Yes. The white-clad young man nodded before he continued to say, that place is related to the Wasteland Grand Contest held by the three major celestial sects of the Wasteland. The reason the three major celestial sects of the Wasteland want to recruit the best young powerhouses below the age of 100 is so they can enter that place and retrieve the treasures for them. And in that place, there is something that I want. The white-clad young man said. Duan Lingtian's eyes widened slightly when he heard the white-clad young man's words. No wonder Long Fei Yun said the Wasteland Grand Contest held by the three major celestial sects of the Wasteland was a little strange. In the past, the three major celestial sects of the Wasteland did not have an age restriction. However, this time, only young powerhouses below the age of 100 could participate in the Wasteland Grand Contest. As expected, the three major celestial sects of the Wasteland were up to something. Moreover, based on the white-clad young man's words, the three major celestial sects of the Wasteland wanted to recruit the best young powerhouses in the Wasteland Grand Contest to enter that place and retrieve the treasures for them. After all, only people below the age of 100 could enter that place. Brother Pei, if that's the case, you can just wait for the three major celestial sects of the Wasteland to obtain the treasures before you make your move. There's no need for me to do it for you, right? Duan Lingtian asked. Previously, the white-clad young man had said that the Wasteland Grand Contest was not a secret. Nobody in the Wasteland was capable of killing him. Moreover, the white-clad young man was not interested in the divine crystals at all. At that time, Duan Lingtian knew the white-clad young man was much stronger than the white-clad young man. The white-clad young man's strength was much stronger than the three major celestial sects of the Wasteland. After all, even the forces that were stronger than the three major celestial sects of the Wasteland would fight over the divine crystals. It was difficult for Duan Lingtian to imagine how powerful someone who was not interested in divine crystals was. However, Duan Lingtian was certain it would not be difficult for the white-clad young man to snatch the treasures from the three major celestial sects of the Wasteland. It's easy to snatch the treasures from the three major celestial sects of the Wasteland. The white-clad young man's eyes flashed when he heard Duan Lingtian's question. A mocking smile could be seen on his face as he said, however, we'll have to wait for the others to come out of that place alive. That place is very dangerous? Duan Lingtian's expression turned solemn when he heard the white-clad young man's words. It's more than dangerous. The white-clad young man looked at Duan Lingtian deeply before he said, your strength is comparable to a great overarching golden celestial. However, even if you enter that place, you'll most likely die. Most likely die. As soon as the white-clad young man finished speaking, Duan Lingtian's expression changed drastically. He knew a powerhouse like the white-clad young man would not lie to him. If that's the case, why did you? Since the white-clad young man said he would most likely die in that place, Duan Lingtian could not figure out why the white-clad young man would make such a deal with him. Naturally, you'll most likely die if you enter alone. The white-clad young man said indifferently, however, if that girl enters with you, the situation will be different. With her strength, she'll be able to deal with the dangers in there while protecting you. Moreover, even if that place isn't dangerous, no one will be able to find the item I'm looking for without my item. The white-clad young man continued to say. Huaner. Duan Lingtian frowned. Brother Pei, the reason I want your concealing pendant is because I don't want everyone to know that she's not even 100 years old. After all, many people in the capital of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom already know about her strength. Nobody doubts her strength. Once people find out she's not even 100 years old, she'll be in trouble. Duan Lingtian said, if she enters with you, I can guarantee no one will notice her presence. At that time, I'll give her 2 invisibility talismans. The white-clad young man said. Invisibility talisman? Duan Lingtian frowned again. Based on what I know, the invisibility talisman is inscribed by a celestial duke. Anyone who's stronger than a celestial duke will be able to see through it. Chapter 2739. As you said, it's an invisibility talisman inscribed by a celestial duke. The white-clad young man glanced at Duan Lingtian indifferently before he continued to say, nobody in the three major celestial sects of the wasteland is able to see through the invisibility talisman I gave her. Nobody is able to sense her presence when she uses the invisibility talisman. A hint of arrogance could be heard in the white-clad young man's voice when he spoke. Upon hearing the white-clad young man's words, Duan Lingtian was stunned. Only a celestial duke could inscribe an invisibility talisman. Moreover, the invisibility talisman inscribed by a celestial duke was not powerful enough to conceal one from other celestial dukes. Even an overarching, heavenly supreme celestial would be able to sense the presence of a celestial duke. Naturally, the invisibility talisman inscribed by a celestial duke was the lowest grade invisibility talisman. If the invisibility talisman was inscribed by a celestial king, it would undoubtedly be more effective. Only a celestial king would be able to see through the invisibility talisman inscribed by a celestial king. Although a celestial duke would not be able to see through the invisibility talisman inscribed by a celestial king, he would still be able to sense the presence of the invisibility talisman inscribed by a celestial king. There are many celestial dukes in the three major celestial sects of the wasteland, but none of them have a celestial king. Suddenly, a thought appeared in Duan Lingtian's mind. Brother Pei said that no one in the three major celestial sects of the wasteland was able to see through the disguise and sense Huan Er's presence when she used the invisibility talisman he gave her. In order for a celestial duke to be unable to sense the presence of the invisibility talisman inscribed by a celestial lord, the invisibility talisman had to be inscribed by a celestial lord or stronger. Celestial lord. Duan Lingtian's heart skipped a beat when he thought about this. Celestial lords were stronger than celestial kings. Celestial lords were considered overlords in any Devata realms. Brother Pei, the invisibility talisman you mentioned, could it be that it was inscribed by a celestial lord? After secretly sucking in a breath of cold air, Duan Lingtian looked at the white-robed young man and asked nervously.
Yes.
The white-robed young man nodded. So, you don't have to worry that the girl won't be able to enter that place with you after using the invisibility talisman I gave her. Not only can she enter that place with you, but she can also leave that place with you safely. Hiss. After receiving the white-robed young man's confirmation, Duan Lingtian could not help but gasp even though he had already guessed it. When he looked at the white-robed young man again, his eyes were filled with shock. Brother Pei, you're an immortal emperor expert? Duan Lingtian could not help but ask. In his opinion, since the invisibility talisman was taken out by the person in front of him, it was very likely that he had inscribed it himself. No. However, to Duan Lingtian's disappointment, the white-robed young man denied his question and said in a timely manner, the two invisibility talismans I prepared for that girl were not inscribed by me. Nevertheless, Duan Lingtian was certain the white-robed young man was either a celestial lord or a celestial lord. He was certain the white-robed young man was either a celestial king or a celestial duke who was stronger than all the celestial dukes in the three major celestial sects of the wasteland. After all, the white-robed young man had said no one in the wasteland was capable of killing him. Most of the top powerhouses in the wasteland were from the three major celestial sects of the wasteland. For this reason, Duan Lingtian came to this conclusion. I see. Duan Lingtian nodded. Since there's an invisibility talisman inscribed by a celestial lord, the three major celestial sects of the wasteland won't be able to find out. After all, there's no celestial king in the three major celestial sects of the wasteland. Not only do the three major celestial sects of the wasteland not have any celestial kings, but they don't even have 9 palaces celestial dukes. The white-robed youth smiled indifferently. Although the contempt in his tone was not obvious, Duan Lingtian could still hear it. It seems like the strongest celestial duke in the three major celestial sects of the wasteland is an 8 trigram celestial duke. It was not difficult for Duan Lingtian to guess this after hearing the white-robed youth's words. In the Devata realms, the heavenly celestial stage and golden celestial stage were divided into 7 stages. Scarlet Moon Heavenly Immortals, Orange Moon Heavenly Immortals, Yellow Moon Heavenly Immortals, Green Moon Heavenly Immortals, Blue Moon Heavenly Immortals, Violet Moon Heavenly Immortals, Scarlet Sun Golden Immortals, Orange Sun Golden Immortals, Yellow Sun Golden Immortals, Green Sun Golden Immortals, Blue Sun Golden Immortals, Violet Sun Golden Immortals. The Great Overarching Golden Celestial and Overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial were divided into 5 levels. Yellow Realm Great Overarching Golden Immortal, Black Realm Great Overarching Golden Immortal, Earth Realm Great Overarching Golden Immortal, Heaven Realm Great Overarching Golden Immortal, and Peak Great Overarching Golden Immortal. Yellow Stage Overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial, Profound Stage Overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial, Earth Stage Overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial, Heaven Stage Overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial, and Peak Overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial. Above the Overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial was the Celestial Duke. Above the Immortal Monarch was the Immortal King. Above the Immortal King was the Immortal Emperor. Above the Immortal Emperor was the Immortal Emperor. Regardless of whether it was the Immortal Monarch, Immortal King, Immortal Emperor, or Immortal Emperor, they were all subdivided into 10 levels, and the prefixes were 1 origin, 2 forms, 3 talents, 4 divisions, 5 elements, 6 directions, 7 stars, 8 trigrams, 9 palaces, and 10 directions. Among the 4 cultivation bases, the 1 basic Celestial Duke was the weakest while the 10 directions Celestial Emperor was the strongest. The heavenly emperors in the Devata realms were all 10 directions Celestial Emperors. Only 10 directions Celestial Emperors were worthy of being called Heavenly Emperors. Apart from the Heavenly Emperors, there were also a few 10 directions Celestial Emperors in the Devata realms. They were either too weak to become Heavenly Emperors or too strong to become Heavenly Emperors. They were either too weak to become Heavenly Emperors or too strong to become Heavenly Emperors. Therefore, they chose to live in seclusion to improve themselves.
Yes.
The white-robed youth nodded. There's an 8 trigram Celestial Duke in each of the 3 major celestial sects of the wasteland. Duan Lingtian's eyes gleamed as he thought to himself, this means Brother Pei is at least a 9 palaces Celestial Duke, a 10 directions Celestial Duke, or even a Celestial King. Brother Pei. Duan Lingtian took a deep breath before he asked, Brother Pei, where are the 3 major celestial sects of the wasteland, sending those who are younger than 100 years old to? Where's that place? Why is it so dangerous? And you, what do you want? When Duan Lingtian reached the end of his question, he looked directly into the eyes of the white-robed young man that were filled with the vicissitudes of life. That place, the white-robed youth murmured. When the white-clad young man muttered to himself, Duan Lingtian could clearly see the cold gleam in the depths of the white-clad young man's eyes. Then, a hint of desolation could be seen in his eyes. That place is a little world left behind by a celestial king. It's in the wasteland. Only those who are younger than 100 years old can enter that little world. Those who are weaker than a celestial king will definitely die if they enter recklessly. If those who are stronger than a celestial king enter, the little world will shatter, and everything in it will disappear from this world. The white-robed youth said, only those who are stronger than an overarching, heavenly supreme celestial can survive in that little world. If the girl next to you is only a yellow rank, overarching, heavenly supreme celestial, she can barely protect herself. Since she's a profound rank, overarching, heavenly supreme celestial, she should be able to protect herself and you. The white-robed youth continued to speak. Gasp! As soon as the white-clad young man finished speaking, Duan Lingtian could not help but gasp again. A little world left behind by a celestial king. Only those who were younger than 100 years old could enter it. Only those who were stronger than an overarching, heavenly supreme celestial could survive. Those who were weaker than a celestial king and older than 100 years old would definitely die if they entered the little world. Those who were stronger than a celestial king and older than 100 years old would be destroyed if they entered the little world. In other words, only overarching heavenly supreme celestials who were younger than 100 years old would be able to survive if they entered the little world. Why would a celestial king leave a little world in the wasteland? Isn't this a scam? In Duan Lingtian's opinion, the white-robed youth was not worried at all. In the wasteland, there were no overarching heavenly supreme celestials who were younger than 100 years old. There were no celestial kings in the wasteland as well. In other words, in the desolate region, no matter who it was, as long as they dared to enter that small world, they would definitely die. Naturally, there was an exception. It was none other than Huan. Don't the three major celestial sects of the wasteland know that those who are weaker than an overarching, heavenly supreme celestial will definitely die in that little world? Duan Lingtian asked in a deep voice. Of course not. Otherwise, they wouldn't send people to their deaths. The white-robed youth replied. You didn't warn them? Duan Lingtian asked again. Warn them? The white-robed youth laughed. Why should I? If they weren't greedy, they wouldn't have continued to explore the little world. Many people from the three major celestial sects of the wasteland have died in there, but they're still unrepentant. How sad. As the white-robed young man laughed, the corners of his mouth curled into a mocking arc. Duan Lingtian's eyes glinted. Moreover, do you think the three major celestial sects of the wasteland would believe me if I told them the little world isn't something they can lay their hands on? The white-robed youth asked again. Duan Lingtian shook his head and said, Brother Pei, you can show your strength and prevent the three major celestial sects of the wasteland from meddling in the little world. That way, they won't send people to their deaths, right? The three major celestial sects of the wasteland are not related to me. Why would I do that? The white-robed youth said coldly. Moreover, do you think I'll be able to stop them from sending people to their deaths for the rest of my life? When I'm no longer around, they'll still send people to their deaths. Chapter 2740. Duan Lingtian fell silent when he heard the white-clad young man's words. He knew the white-clad young man's words were not without reason. The three major celestial sects of the wasteland would definitely do the same. It all stemmed from the greed in human nature. Why do you think the people from the three major celestial sects of the wasteland knew that only people under the age of 100 would survive the minor world? That's because they had conducted many experiments. In the end, they confirmed that people under the age of 100 would be able to enter the minor world, and those above the age of 100 would instantly turn into ashes if they tried to force their way in. The white-clad young man said. Duan Lingtian's eyes widened. He could imagine how many people from the three major celestial sects of the wasteland had died because of this. The only purpose of their deaths was to let the three major celestial sects of the wasteland know that the little world was only a small world. Only those who were younger than 100 years old could enter the little world. The white-clad young man continued to say, Therefore, don't even think about persuading the three major celestial sects of the wasteland. Not only will they ignore you, but they'll even think you're lying to prevent them from getting their hands on the little world. In their eyes, it's a little world left behind by a powerhouse stronger than a celestial king. Not only that, but there are many treasures in there that they can easily obtain. Duan Lingtian sighed. Greed was indeed an original sin. As for what I'm looking for, as the white-robed young man spoke, he raised his hand, and a ring appeared in his hand. This ring was different from ordinary rings. There were a total of 9 water chestnuts around it, and their shapes were different. It looked very strange. The ring was fiery red. However, it was not dyed red. It was the color of the material that was used to forge the ring. This is my personal immortal artifact. It's called the mystic Yang 9 water chestnut ring. There's also a matching immortal artifact called the mystic En 9 water chestnut ring. It's in that small world. The mystical En 9 water chestnut ring is what I'm looking for. As the white-robed young man spoke, he passed the ring in his hand to Duan Lingtian and said, Wear this mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring. As long as you approach the mystical En 9 water chestnut ring, it'll naturally react and guide you to it. When Duan Lingtian heard this, he reached out and took the ring. At the same time, he subconsciously extended his divine sense and shrouded the ring. Duan Lingtian's pupils suddenly shrank. This was because he discovered the celestial weapon the white-clad young man gave him was a celestial weapon of the same grade as the Jasper celestial sword, the universe ruler, and the astounding god halberd. He would never forget this feeling of familiarity. This celestial weapon is even more powerful than the celestial weapon, the world-cleansing horsetail whisk, that Murong Bing had retrieved for the compassionate celestial traveler sect. Duan Lingtian thought to himself, "Big Brother Pei, may I ask what grade of immortal artifact this is?" Duan Lingtian looked at the white-robed youth and asked, "Royal grade." The white-robed young man said, "Royal grade?" Duan Lingtian was stunned, and then he frowned as he asked, "According to my knowledge, aren't immortal artifacts divided into low-grade, mid-grade, high-grade, and top-grade immortal artifacts?" "Yes, that's true." The white-clad young man nodded before he continued to say, "However, did you know that top-grade immortal artifacts are divided into different grades as well?" Top-grade immortal artifacts are divided into different grades? Duan Lingtian's heart skipped a beat. Then, he looked at the white-clad young man solemnly and said, "Please enlighten me." Top-grade immortal artifacts are divided into Duke-grade celestial weapons, King-grade celestial weapons, Royal-grade celestial weapons, and Emperor-grade celestial weapons. My mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring is a Royal-grade celestial weapon. The mystical E9 water chestnut ring that's paired with it is also a Royal-grade celestial weapon. Duan Lingtian nodded. When his words entered Duan Lingtian's ears, it was as though he had opened a door to a whole new world for him. At this moment, Duan Lingtian discovered that the top celestial weapons were divided into so many grades. This mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring is on par with the Jasper celestial sword, universe ruler, and astonishing god halberd that I've encountered in the past. It's a royal-grade celestial weapon. This means the Jasper celestial sword, universe ruler, and astonishing god halberd are also royal-grade celestial weapons. The compassionate celestial traveler sect guarding celestial weapon, the world-cleansing horsetail whisk, must be a king-grade celestial weapon as well. Duan Lingtian speculated inwardly. Duan Lingtian looked at the white-clad young man and asked, "Brother Pei, have you heard of the compassionate celestial traveler sect guarding celestial weapon, the world-cleansing horsetail whisk?" The compassionate celestial traveler sect? I've heard of it before, but I don't know the name of its sect guarding celestial weapon. I've only heard that the compassionate celestial traveler sect has 3 sect guarding celestial weapons. Duan Lingtian nodded. As expected. The white-clad young man's words confirmed Duan Lingtian's speculation that the compassionate celestial traveler sect's guarding celestial weapon, the world-cleansing horsetail whisk, that Murong Bing had found in the little world, was indeed a king-grade celestial weapon that was slightly inferior to royal-grade celestial weapons like the Jasper celestial sword. In the past, I heard from Elder Hua that the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda is a grade higher than the Jasper celestial sword, the universe ruler, the astonishing god halberd, and the other celestial weapons stored in it. However, it seems like the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda is an emperor-grade celestial weapon. When Duan Lingtian thought about the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, he could not help but think about Hualao, the pagoda spirit of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. A hint of sadness appeared in his eyes. If Hualao was still here, I wouldn't be as clueless as I am now in the Devata realm. Duan Lingtian sighed inwardly. Brother Pei. After a while, Duan Lingtian regained his senses. He looked at the white-clad young man and said, "Brother Pei, I agree to your condition. I'll enter the little world left behind by a celestial king and help you find the royal-grade celestial weapon, the mystical E9 water chestnut ring." As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, he added, "Of course, the prerequisite is that the mystical E9 water chestnut ring is in the little world." "I'm certain of that," the white-clad young man replied confidently. He was rather surprised that Duan Lingtian was able to remain so calm after learning that he had given Duan Lingtian a royal-grade celestial weapon and had asked him to look for a royal-grade celestial weapon. What's this little guy's background? For the first time, the white-clad young man was interested in Duan Lingtian's background. The little girl next to him has the aura of the Phantom Fox clan. However, it's not pure. She's not even 100 years old, but her strength is already comparable to a profound rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial. Her innate talent is considered top-notch even in the Phantom Fox clan. The white-clad young man thought to himself. Duan Lingtian was unaware of the white-clad young man's thoughts. Otherwise, he would have laughed inwardly. What a joke. When he was in the mundane realm, he had already possessed an Emperor-grade celestial weapon and many Royal-grade celestial weapons. How could 1 or 2 Royal-grade celestial weapons be enough to tempt him? Most importantly, Duan Lingtian had a Devata artifact that was even more powerful than an Emperor-grade celestial weapon. However, the Devata artifact had lost its artifact soul, so it was no longer as powerful as before. Currently, it was only as powerful as a top celestial weapon. Since you've agreed to my conditions, I'll give you this concealing pendant. The white-robed young man raised his hand, and a jade pendant surrounded by green light appeared in his hand. Within the green light surrounding the jade pendant, a black thread could be seen moving. It was like an agile snake that constantly swam around the jade pendant. Duan Lingtian casually took the concealing pendant and put it away along with the mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring. I wonder what grade of celestial weapon the 7 orifices exquisite sword in my body is comparable to? As Duan Lingtian put the mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring away, he recalled the Devata artifact that had lost its soul and was only comparable to a top celestial weapon that was given to him by Kerr's third uncle in her past life. He knew the Devata artifact strength was comparable to a top celestial weapon. Now that he learned there were different grades of top celestial weapons, he was curious to know what grade of celestial weapon the 7 orifices exquisite sword was comparable to. However, I feel like it's comparable to a Duke-grade celestial weapon at most. Duan Lingtian could not help but speculate when he recalled the improvements he received when he used the 7 orifices exquisite sword. Although the 7 orifices exquisite sword was stronger than a high-grade immortal artifact, it was not by much. As a Devata artifact, the 7 orifices exquisite sword shouldn't only be comparable to a Duke-grade celestial weapon even if it has lost its artifact soul. It seems like I'll have to study it when I have the time to see if I can discover more of its hidden power. After all, it's a Devata artifact that's superior to Emperor-grade celestial weapons. Duan Lingtian could not help but feel excited when he thought about this. Brother Pei. After putting the concealment pendant and the mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring away, Duan Lingtian suddenly remembered something. He looked at the white-clad young man and said, Brother Pei, if I obtain the mystical E9 water chestnut ring, you must come and collect it immediately. Otherwise, I'm afraid the people from the Martial Dragon Celestial sect will check my spatial ring. After all, they want the treasures I obtained in the little world as well. I know. The white-clad young man nodded. You don't have to worry about this. What you need to do is enter the little world with that girl and retrieve the mystical E9 water chestnut ring for me. I'll take care of everything else. As soon as the white-clad young man finished speaking, he waved his hand and retracted the formation that Duan Lingtian had set up with his bare hands. With this, Duan Lingtian reappeared in the courtyard where he could hear the wind and smell the fragrance of flowers. I'll wait for your good news. In the eyes of Long Fei Yun and Qiu Ling who were standing behind him, Duan Lingtian and the white-clad young man who were standing still suddenly moved. Moreover, they had heard the white-clad young man's words. They're out? Immediately, they realized that the two of them had come out of the formation. Chapter 2741. It's a deal? Upon hearing the white-clad young man's words, Long Fei Yun knew Duan Lingtian had agreed to his condition and made a deal with him. He did not know what the white-clad young man's condition was. However, he was certain the white-clad young man had agreed to it. He was certain the condition was not simple. Since Long Fei Yun had achieved his goal, he bade farewell to the white-clad young man before he left with Qiu Ling and Duan Lingtian. Bang! As soon as the three of them left the mansion, the door closed again. This time, Duan Lingtian was not surprised. After all, the white-clad young man was a 9 palaces celestial duke at the very least. 13th Prince, how did you get to know Brother Pei? Duan Lingtian asked Long Fei Yun on their way back. With the white-clad young man's strength, it would be easy for him to help Long Fei Yun become the emperor of the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. However, it seemed like the white-clad young man had no intention of helping Long Fei Yun. More than a year ago, A hint of reminiscence flashed in Long Fei Yun's eyes as he said, "At that time, Qiu Ling hadn't come to look for me yet. During a trip, the earth-rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial that my father had given me was lured away. I was almost killed. In the end, it was Brother Pei who saved me. However, before Brother Pei saved me, he made a deal with me. He wanted me to give him something I had. I obtained it by chance a few years ago. Although it's not a precious item, it's very rare. It's worth collecting." Long Fei Yun said, "In the face of death, it's only natural that I don't want to keep it. After all, if I die, it won't be mine anymore." Duan Ling Tian came to a sudden realization. He never imagined that Long Fei Yun would know the white-robed young man like this. After that incident, I knew Brother Pei was extraordinary. At that time, he had just arrived in the soaring dragon celestial kingdom. I wanted to recruit him and invite him to stay in my residence in the imperial palace. However, he refused. In the end, I had no choice but to arrange a residence for him outside the soaring dragon celestial kingdom. "It's that mansion," Long Fei Yun said with a bitter smile on his face. "I thought he'd be willing to help me fight against fourth brother and seventh brother since he'd accepted my mansion. I didn't expect him to take the initiative to tell me that he wouldn't interfere in this matter. Later on, as long as there was something strange, I would send it to him. Gradually, we became familiar with each other, but we could only be considered as familiar strangers." As he spoke, Long Fei Yun could not help but reveal a bitter smile. After that, although he helped me a lot, most of the time, he gave me pointers on cultivation. However, I'm satisfied. I can see that he has no intention of interfering in the competition for the throne of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom. Long Fei Yun said, "So, I gave up and treated him as my teacher and friend." Duan Lingtian nodded. For someone like the white-robed young man, once he had decided on something, he would definitely not change his mind easily. Since he had said he would not interfere in the competition for the throne of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom, he would definitely not interfere. 13th Prince, do you know why he's unwilling to interfere in the competition for the throne of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom and help you ascend to the throne? Duan Lingtian asked. "I think he's afraid of the martial dragon celestial sect." The three major celestial sects of the wasteland, including the martial dragon celestial sect, had announced many years ago that celestial dukes and above are not allowed to interfere with the inheritance of the imperial family. Those who violate this rule will be hunted down by the three major celestial sects. Long Fei Yun's eyes flashed as he said, "Initially, I thought Brother Pei might be a celestial duke. However, when Qiu Ling came with me to meet him, I was certain Brother Pei is a celestial duke." Upon hearing Long Fei Yun's words, Duan Lingtian glanced at Qiu Ling. He saw the heaven-rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial's eyes were filled with dread when Long Fei Yun mentioned Brother Pei. It was as though the white-clad young man was a ferocious beast to him. Is he afraid of the three major celestial sects of the wasteland, so he doesn't dare to interfere with the inheritance of the imperial family of the soaring dragon celestial kingdom? Duan Lingtian thought to himself. This was simply the biggest joke in the world. Based on the white-clad young man's attitude, it was clear he did not think much of the three major celestial sects of the wasteland. 13th Prince. Duan Lingtian looked at Long Fei Yun and asked, "Do you know if the three major celestial sects of the wasteland have a royal-grade celestial weapon?" Royal-grade celestial weapon? Long Fei Yun was stunned when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. Then, he smiled wryly and said, "Brother Duan, you think too highly of the three major celestial sects of the wasteland, let alone a royal-grade celestial weapon. Only the Tai celestial sect has a royal-grade celestial weapon. There's only one royal-grade celestial weapon in the entire wasteland." Long Fei Yun said. Duan Lingtian was taken aback when he heard Long Fei Yun's words. He did not expect only one of the three major celestial sects of the wasteland would have a royal-grade celestial weapon. Moreover, it was the only royal-grade celestial weapon in the entire wasteland. Isn't that a little too shabby? Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Long Fei Yun was unaware of Duan Lingtian's thoughts. Otherwise, he would have rolled his eyes at Duan Lingtian, thinking that Duan Lingtian was being delusional. A royal-grade celestial weapon was extremely precious. Was it something that could be easily obtained? 13th Prince, have you heard of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect? Duan Lingtian asked. The Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect? Of course. Long Fei Yun nodded. Then, he asked curiously, why are you suddenly asking about the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect? Are you related to the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect? I've heard about the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect, so I'm curious. How does it compare to the three major celestial sects of the wasteland? Duan Lingtian asked as his eyes glinted. The three major celestial sects of the wasteland can't compare to the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect. Let's take the royal-grade celestial weapon as an example. Among the three major celestial sects of the wasteland, only the Tai-E celestial sect was lucky enough to obtain one. The Martial Dragon Celestial Sect and the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect, on the other hand, don't have any royal-grade celestial weapons. The Compassionate Celestial Traveler Sect, on the other hand, has three royal-grade celestial weapons. I heard they lost one of their royal-grade celestial weapons a few years ago, but someone managed to retrieve it. Long Fei Yun finished speaking in one breath. Duan Lingtian's eyes widened immediately. Naturally, he knew the king-grade celestial weapon that the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect had lost was the world-cleansing horsetail whisk. As for the person who found the world-cleansing horsetail whisk, she was none other than Morong Bing, a disciple of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect whom he had once slept with. 13th Prince, do you know who found the royal-grade celestial weapon that the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect lost? Duan Lingtian asked after taking a deep breath. I heard it's Morong Bing, one of the best among the younger generation in the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect. Although she's a woman, her innate talent is so high that many men can only dream of catching up to her. Moreover, I heard she's the most likely candidate to become the next sect leader of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect, Long Fei Yun said. What a pity. A great beauty like her is destined to live the rest of her life under a Buddhist lamp. Rumor has it that Morong Bing is widely acknowledged as the most beautiful woman in the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect. Long Fei Yun sighed. Live the rest of her life under a Buddhist lamp? Duan Lingtian frowned. Why do you say that? Brother Duan, the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect is a purely female sect. They only accept female disciples, not male disciples. According to the sect's rules, the sect leader of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect is forbidden from having any relations with men. As for the other female disciples of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect, they don't have such restrictions. Don't you think it's a pity for a great beauty like her to become the next sect leader of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect? Long Fei Yun asked Duan Lingtian. I don't care if she doesn't become the sect leader of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect. Duan Lingtian scoffed as his eyes flashed. You can't say that. Although she's destined to live the rest of her life under a Buddhist lamp, she'll still be able to live a glorious life. After all, the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect is not an ordinary sect. It's even more powerful than the three major celestial sects of the wasteland. Long Fei Yun thought Duan Lingtian did not like the rules of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect. He did not know Duan Lingtian had such a big reaction, because he was certain the most beautiful woman in the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect was his woman. How could Duan Lingtian allow his woman to live the rest of her life under a Buddhist lamp? One day, I'll go to the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect and take you away. I don't care if I don't become the sect leader of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect. Duan Lingtian's eyes flashed brightly as a beautiful figure appeared in his mind. It was none other than Morong Bing, the disciple of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect whom he had met once in the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom. At this moment, Duan Lingtian did not even think about it. Even if he wanted to take Morong Bing away, would she be willing to follow him? Since Duan Lingtian's mood was slightly depressed, the atmosphere between him and Long Fei Yun was tense as well. Brother Duan, what's wrong? At this moment, even Long Fei Yun felt something was amiss with Duan Lingtian. He was puzzled. He did not know about the relationship between Duan Lingtian and Morong Bing. If he had known about it, he would not have been puzzled. It did not take long for Duan Ling Tian and Long Fei Yun to return to Long Fei Yun's residence in the imperial palace in the courtyard that Long Fei Yun had arranged for them. Around the same time Duan Ling Tian returned. In the fourth prince's residence in the imperial palace. Your Highness, the fourth prince, it seems like the 13th prince and the young man with the surname Duan went to see Lord Pei. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.